The dead dragon beneath Blackthorne Academy opens one eye during a first-year sanitation shift. Edrin Vale is standing 3 feet from its skull when the black pupil contracts. And naturally, the only student close enough to notice is the one person in the entire academy with absolutely no talent for magic. See, Blackthorne does not waste enchanted classrooms on failures. Students born without mana resonance work beneath the campus instead, hauling furnace ash through tunnels built around the fossilized remains of ancient beasts. The academy calls it practical service. Everyone else calls it corpse duty. Edrin calls it temporary. The young man tightens both hands around his iron shovel as a dull vibration passes through the ossuary floor. Dust slides from the dragon's teeth. Blue mage glass veins along the ceiling flicker once, then go completely dark. Beside him, 3 other ash porters freeze. None of them understands what just happened. Edrin does. Every active spell inside the tunnel has just died. Blackthorne Academy stands on the largest draconic burial chamber in the Western Kingdoms. The founders built their towers directly over the corpse and siphon residual power from its bones. It is efficient, prestigious, and catastrophically stupid. Honestly, turning a dead calamity into a school battery is exactly the kind of decision powerful mages call visionary. Another tremor rolls through the tunnel. This one throws 2 workers against the wall. Above them, bells begin screaming across the academy grounds. Not ceremonial bells, evacuation bells. A command seal burns to life over the northern gate, and a sharp voice pours through the tunnel. All lower personnel remain in place. The upper wards are being stabilized. The order belongs to Cyran Voss, Blackthorne's highest-ranked first-year combat mage. His family controls 3 royal battalions, his fire affinity measures at 9 rings, and his judgment is already trusted more than the lives of nameless workers underground. The steel gate slams shut. Edrin watches the locking runes spread across it. Cyran has sealed the tunnel from the outside. One ash porter starts pounding against the bars. Another screams for help. Our guy does neither. He lowers the shovel and studies the dead runes in the ceiling. Magic normally appears to Edrin as pressure without shape. He cannot hold mana, circulate it, or awaken even the weakest elemental spark. He has spent 17 years hearing the same diagnosis from healers, tutors, and smug academy examiners. Empty channels, dead core, no future. Yet the runes above him look different now. Their light is gone, but something remains. Thin gray threads hang in the air like smoke after a candle goes out. They stretch from the shattered mage glass toward the dragon's skull, carrying the final structure of every spell that has just collapsed. Edrin sees them clearly. Not mana, the memory of mana. The dragon's eye shifts toward him. A wave of invisible force crashes through the tunnel. The 3 porters collapse instantly. Blood runs from their noses as the pressure tears through their bodies. Living mana inside them is being dragged outward, ripped from weak channels and swallowed by the ancient corpse. Edrin remains standing. There is nothing inside him for the dragon to steal. Talk about finally finding a practical use for being defective. The beast's jaw opens. A dead flame gathers behind its teeth. It is not hot. It is far worse than that. The gray fire erases every enchanted surface it touches. Protective symbols vanish from the walls. Iron reinforcement crumbles as the strengthening magic inside it gets consumed. Even the academy crest above the gate peels apart one silver thread at a time. Edrin steps toward the skull. The nearest porter catches his ankle. Vale, stop. Edrin pulls free without looking down. The distance between him and the dragon shrinks to 10 paces, then 6, then 3. A message burns across his mind. The ancient academy registry has detected an unrecognized resonance. It searches for mana, finds none, searches for elemental affinity, finds nothing, and finally examines the dead spell patterns gathering around his body. The result arrives like a verdict: vacant core confirmed, living magic compatibility 0, extinguished magic compatibility absolute. Edrin's expression barely changes. A second readout follows. Class boundary has been breached. Exclusive path identified. Necromancer of the Final Epitaph. The classification scale attempts to measure the path. Apprentice, Adept, Royal, Imperial. The invisible needle keeps climbing until the registry fractures and the message dissolves into static. Our boy looks at the dragon. The dragon looks back. For the first time in his life, the magical world is not rejecting him. It is kneeling at the edge of something it cannot understand. The dead flame erupts. Edrin moves 1 step to the side. The blast tears past his shoulder and strikes the sealed gate. Gray fire crawls across Cyran's locking spell, consuming its structure without producing a single spark. Edrin raises one hand. The remains of the destroyed seal hover in front of him as pale lines. He does not create a new spell. He takes hold of the dead one. The interface behind his eyes stirs: epitaph detected, containment, seal, structural integrity lost, restoration possible through death resonance. Edrin closes his fingers. The broken locking spell twitches. Its symbols reverse. The gate does not open. Instead, every iron bar bends inward and wraps around the dragon's lower jaw. The corpse jerks back. Stone explodes beneath its skull. One of the conscious porters stares at Edrin with absolute disbelief. The young man who cannot light a practice candle has just commanded a dead royal-grade seal with one hand. Edrin pays no attention. The spell is unstable. He feels that immediately. Living mages feed mana into a structure and force it to obey. His new power works in the opposite direction. Every dead spell leaves behind an epitaph, a final pattern recording what the magic was designed to do. Edrin can seize that pattern, restore it with death, resonance, and make it perform one last time, but only one last time. The iron bars crack. The dragon tears its jaw free. Edrin files away the limit. No panic, no dramatic speech, just recalculation. The corpse lunges. Its massive skull crashes through two support pillars, sending slabs of stone across the tunnel. Edrin dives beneath the jaw and rolls through a cloud of powdered bone. A jagged tooth slices across his coat. Blood darkens his side. The dragon turns faster than something that size has any right to move. Another dead flame begins forming. Edrin scans the chamber. The ceiling wards are gone. The gate seal has been spent. The furnace enchantments are collapsing. Then he notices a row of tiny brass cages beside the ash conveyor. Each cage once held a fire raven familiar, used to ignite the cremation pits. The ravens died when the dragon absorbed the tunnel's mana. Their bodies still contain command marks, fresh epitaphs. Edrin reaches toward the nearest cage. The dead raven jerks upright. Its feathers have already burned away, leaving a fragile frame of black bone and a faint membrane of gray light. One wing hangs uselessly. Its skull turns toward him, waiting for an instruction it no longer has the strength to understand. Companion bond available, the system notes quietly. Incomplete vessel. Damaged command core. Estimated combat value. Negligible. Edrin almost smiles. Negligible is still more than he had 5 minutes ago. He taps 2 fingers against the cage. The brass lock dies. Then it opens. The tiny revenant crawls onto his wrist and drives its claws into his sleeve. A name surfaces from the remaining familiar mark. Pip. Not exactly terrifying. Still, legends have started with worse. The dragon releases its flame. Edrin throws himself behind a stone basin. Gray fire washes over the chamber. The basin's preservation enchantment vanishes instantly, but the stone itself holds long enough to keep him alive. Pip flaps its single working wing and rises barely a foot into the air. The little creature is weak, damaged, and painfully slow. Yet its hollow eyes are fixed on the dragon's throat. Edrin notices the same thing. 3 silver nails sit between the beast's neck plates. They are not weapons. They are control anchors hammered into the corpse centuries ago by Blackthorne's founders. Their active magic is gone, but their original command survives as a dead pattern. Bind the heart, silence the breath. Return the beast to stillness. The anchors are too far away. Edrin cannot reach them. Pip can, he points. The revenant bird launches itself forward. Calling that movement flight is generous. The creature bounces off a wall, spins sideways, clips the dragon's horn, and nearly falls into its open mouth. Then its claws catch the first silver nail. A faint gray line connects the anchor to Edrin's hand. The dragon thrashes. Pip refuses to let go. The bird's damaged wing tears completely, leaving it hanging by one claw as the skull slams against the tunnel wall. Edrin seizes the dead command. The first anchor ignites with colorless light. Bind the heart. A chain of bone-white symbols wraps around the dragon's ribs beneath the floor. The corpse roars without sound. Pip leaps to the second nail. This time the dragon sees it. A claw bursts from beneath the rubble and swipes through the air. The revenant folds its body at the final second, but 2 ribs shatter from the impact. It reaches the anchor anyway. Edrin claims the second epitaph. Silence the breath. The gray flame inside the dragon's mouth collapses. The beast recoils. Our necromancer is already moving. He runs directly up the dragon's lower jaw, boots striking cracked ivory. The creature bucks violently, but Edrin uses the silver chains as handholds and pulls himself toward the final anchor. Pip lies broken beside it. The tiny familiar's skull twitches. One claw taps the nail. Just once. That is enough. Edrin slams his palm against the anchor. Pain tears through his arm as centuries of dead magic flood his empty channels. A normal mage would burn from the inside. Edrin has no living mana to resist the invasion. The power fills the vacancy perfectly. A quiet chime sounds behind his eyes. First epitaph triad completed. Sovereign command fragment acquired. Dead creature authority unlocked. Edrin grips the nail. Return. The final command activates. The dragon freezes. Cracks spread across its skull. The massive body beneath the academy gives one last, brutal convulsion, and every remaining bone slams against the earth. Dust erupts through the tunnel. Towers above Blackthorne tilt as the foundation shifts. Then the ancient beast lowers its head. Not dead. It has been dead for thousands of years. This is obedience. Edrin stands between its horns, blood running down his coat, while the 3 silver anchors burn beneath his hand. The registry attempts another classification. It fails even faster than before. One line survives the collapse. First, sovereign corpse recognized, authority restricted, vessel exceeds current control capacity. That makes sense. Edrin can command the dragon to remain still, but claiming the entire body would tear him apart. His power is godlike in compatibility, not capacity. The path has no ceiling. His current body definitely does. Our guy releases the anchor. The dragon's eye closes. Pip crumbles beside his boot. Edrin kneels and gathers the scattered bones into both hands. A thin knot of gray light still pulses inside the familiar's cracked chest, not destroyed, merely incomplete. He places the remains inside his coat. Footsteps thunder beyond the ruined gate. Faculty mages finally reach the tunnel after the danger has already been handled. Their spells flare through the dust, bright and loud and completely useless against what just happened. Cyran Voss enters first. Golden fire coils around his arms. His academy uniform remains immaculate, though his face changes the instant he sees Edrin standing on the dragon's skull. Behind him comes Magister Corvin Dral, commander of the Ash Wardens. The older mage examines the broken seals, the bowed corpse, and the dead familiar bones hidden beneath Edrin's coat. His gaze turns cold. This chamber is restricted. A porter coughs from the floor. Edrin looks toward the iron gate Cyran sealed. No one needs to explain what happened. The workers know who abandoned them. Cyran notices their stares and tightens his jaw. The containment order protected the academy. It protected the upper floors. That difference hangs in the silence. Magister Dral steps closer to the dragon. His staff touches one silver anchor, and the remaining gray light recoils from him. The warden's eyes narrow. He cannot sense Edrin's new class. That is the first advantage. Then Dral looks at the blood on Edrin's sleeve. Vale caused the disturbance. A clean accusation. Convenient, immediate, and already shaped for an official report. Edrin studies him. The Ash Wardens are supposed to prevent necromantic contamination, yet the commander is not shocked by the dragon's awakening. He is angry that someone survived it. Interesting. Cyran raises a hand, and golden restraints form around Edrin. Living magic, bright, powerful, temporary. Edrin sees the shape those restraints will leave after they die. He also sees gray threads leading from Dral's staff into the dragon's third anchor. Someone has tampered with the corpse before today. The awakening was not an accident. The necromancer lowers his eyes and allows the restraints to close. Dral mistakes the movement for surrender. Cyran mistakes it for fear. Both men relax. That is their mistake. Edrin waits until the wardens lift the injured porters and turn toward the exit. Then he drags one blood-stained finger across the dragon's tooth, carving a tiny epitaph mark where no living mage can sense it. The corpse answers with a pulse beneath the entire academy. Every mage in the tunnel feels the ground move. Only Edrin knows why. He has not claimed the dragon. Not yet. He has simply told it which voice to remember. With Pip's broken bones hidden against his chest and the first sovereign command sleeping beneath his feet, Edrin lets the academy escort him upstairs. Before crossing the ruined gate, he closes his hand. Far below, the dead dragon opens its eye again. The academy places Edrin inside a room designed to imprison mages. That is almost funny. Blackthorne's interrogation chamber is wrapped in 7 layers of suppression runes, each one calibrated to disrupt mana circulation. Silver chains bind his wrists. A crystal lens watches his breathing. Even the chair beneath him contains a spell that punishes anyone attempting to gather elemental power. Edrin sits comfortably. There is no mana inside him to suppress. Across the table, Magister Corvin Dral reads a prepared incident report as though the truth is something he can simply edit before breakfast. An unregistered worker entered a restricted ossuary chamber, Dral says. His interference damaged the containment array and triggered a partial awakening. Cyran Voss stands beside the door. The noble student says nothing. He does not need to. His family crest is embroidered across his collar, and apparently that counts as evidence in this academy. Edrin looks at the document. The ink is still wet. Dral prepared the conclusion before examining the tunnel. Efficient. The Magister pushes the report forward. Sign it. Our guy lowers his gaze toward the final line. By signing, he accepts responsibility for the destruction below the academy. He also agrees that every magical anomaly observed in the chamber resulted from accidental contamination. That last phrase matters. Dral is not merely hiding Cyran's decision to seal the workers underground. He is hiding whatever awakened the dragon. Edrin reaches for the quill. Cyran's shoulders loosen. Then the Necromancer deliberately knocks the ink bottle over. Black liquid spreads across the confession and ruins half the text. Draal's expression hardens. My hand slipped, Edrin says. It is the first lie he tells them. It will not be the last. The Magister motions toward the guards. One of them strikes Edrin across the face. The silver restraints react immediately, releasing a pulse meant to disrupt defensive magic. Edrin's empty channels feel nothing, but the spell itself burns out after completing its function. A dead pattern hangs over his wrists. Punish resistance. Restrict movement. Return the prisoner to submission. He studies the structure without moving his eyes. Every extinguished spell leaves an epitaph. Every epitaph contains an instruction, and every instruction can be reused once. The mechanism is painfully simple. Living mages create. Edrin inherits what their magic leaves behind. Draal mistakes his silence for defeat. You will remain confined until the disciplinary council convenes, the Magister says. If you cooperate, the Academy may allow you to keep your labor placement. That is supposed to sound merciful. Blackthorne does not educate Edrin. It works him beneath the campus for food and a narrow bed. Still, the young man nods. He needs Draal to believe he is frightened. He needs Cyran to believe the tunnel changed nothing. Most importantly, he needs both of them to stop watching closely. The guards drag him through the lower corridors and throw him inside an abandoned storage cell. The door closes with 3 separate sealing spells. Edrin waits. 10 breaths. 20. 50. When the footsteps vanish, he opens his coat. Pip's broken remains rest against the inner lining. The tiny fire raven is little more than scattered ribs, a cracked skull, and one dim knot of gray light. Its original familiar core has collapsed. No living mage could repair it. Fortunately, Edrin is no longer dealing with living magic. He places the bones across the floor. The interface behind his eyes responds quietly. Incomplete companion vessel detected. Structural restoration requires 3 compatible epitaphs. One must provide motion. One must provide perception. One must provide cohesion. Edrin glances around the cell. Blackthorne has given him everything he needs. The hinges are enchanted to close automatically. Their spell repeats the same tiny movement hundreds of times each day. Motion. A surveillance lens above the door records every prisoner placed inside. Perception. The mortar between the stones contains an old binding charm that keeps the cell from cracking under magical pressure. Cohesion. Our Necromancer raises both hands. He does not touch the spells while they remain active. That is another limit. His authority begins only after magic expires, breaks, or is deliberately extinguished, so he creates opportunities. Edrin kicks the lower hinge until the metal plate bends. The auto-closing charm struggles to correct the damage. It forces the hinge back into place, fails, tries again, and finally burns itself dry. A gray pattern peels from the mechanism. He catches it. Motion acquired. Next, the young man lifts the interrogation chair and smashes it into the surveillance lens. The crystal cracks. Its observation spell flares once, captures a final distorted image, and dies. Perception acquired. The binding charm requires more patience. Edrin wedges a broken chair leg between 2 stones and slowly pries them apart. Pressure spreads through the wall. The hidden reinforcement activates, pulling the stones together. He pries again. The spell tightens. Again. The charm spends more power. After the 17th attempt, the old magic gives out. Cohesion acquired. 3 dead patterns circle his hands like smoke. They are not identical in strength. The hinge charm is barely apprentice grade. The observation spell is more complex, though damaged. The binding charm contains decades of accumulated stability. Edrin guides all 3 into Pip's remains. The bones jerk. One rib snaps into place, then another. The gray knot inside the bird's chest expands, drawing the scattered skeleton together. Its ruined wing does not regenerate. Instead, fragments of metal from the broken surveillance lens slide across the floor and attach themselves along the missing limb. A thin blade-shaped wing forms from glass, wire, and dead runes. Pip's skull rises. 2 pale lights appear inside its sockets. The familiar attempts to stand. It immediately falls over. Edrin catches it before its head hits the floor. The registry offers a new assessment revenant, familiar restored, movement pattern unstable, visual range expanded, combat value low. Low, an enormous improvement over negligible. Pip shakes itself, notices the metal wing, and strikes the wall by accident. The impact produces a sharp metallic crack. The little bird freezes. Edrin looks at it. Pip looks back. Then the revenant carefully folds the dangerous wing against its body as though nothing happened. The corner of Edrin's mouth moves. Not quite a smile. Close enough. He spends the next several hours testing the limits of his class. The first discovery is brutal. Epitaphs decay. A recently dead spell remains clear and powerful. An old one loses detail over time, like writing left beneath rain. The ancient dragon commands survived only because the silver anchors preserved them. The second discovery is worse. Edrin cannot store unlimited patterns. 7 epitaphs fit inside his current vacant core. The 8th begins tearing through his nerves. He releases it immediately, so the power is not an endless collection of stolen spells. Not yet. He must choose what to keep. The third discovery changes everything. Patterns can be combined. A movement charm by itself only repeats a motion. A perception spell only gathers information. A binding charm only holds parts together. Inside Pip, the 3 dead instructions cooperate. The familiar can now see, move, and remain stable, because Edrin has fused separate magical purposes into one undead vessel. Living mages spend years learning a single discipline. The Necromancer of the Final Epitaph can assemble dead disciplines like pieces of a machine. That is the true cheat. Not raising corpses, rebuilding power from everything magic discards. By midnight, Pip can cross the cell without falling. By the second hour after midnight, the Revenant can cling to the ceiling. By the third, it learns to use the metal wing as a blade. The strike barely scratches stone. Still, every improvement follows a measurable pattern. A weak epitaph adds one function. A stronger pattern reinforces that function. Compatible commands multiply each other instead of stacking normally. 3 low-grade patterns do not make Pip 3 times better. Together, they make the familiar nearly 8 times more capable than its original broken form. Exponential growth through compatibility. Edrin files that away. One carefully designed undead could outperform dozens of crude corpses. Footsteps approach. Pip immediately crawls beneath the bed. The Necromancer sits against the wall and lets his shoulders sag. The door opens. A thin academy clerk enters with a tray of water and stale bread. A guard remains outside, bored and careless. The clerk places the tray down. Disciplinary hearing at first, Bell, she mutters. They already chose the punishment. Edrin studies her. She wears the gray cuffs of a scholarship student. Her fingers are stained with ward ink. A fresh burn circles her wrist where a contract spell has recently tightened. Draal's people are using her for administrative work, possibly against her will. She notices the ruined lens. Her face drains of color. I did not see that. Correct, Edrin says. The clerk looks toward the guard. Then she lowers her voice. They will expel you from academy grounds. That would normally be convenient. Edrin could leave, disappear, and build his strength elsewhere, but the dragon is beneath Blackthorne. So is the person tampering with it. Walking away means surrendering the largest source of preserved death magic in the kingdom. Our hero picks up the bread. What happens to expelled labor students? The clerk hesitates. They are transferred to the northern quarry. Edrin already knows the place. The quarry belongs to House Voss. Workers sent there rarely return. Cyran is not cleaning up a disciplinary problem. He is receiving new property. Interesting. The young man breaks the bread in half and places one piece near the bed. Pip reaches out with a skeletal claw and drags it into the darkness. The bird cannot eat. Apparently, it still wants to participate. The clerk sees the movement. Her hand goes to her mouth. Edrin watches her carefully. This is the first person outside the tunnel to witness his power. Killing her would protect the secret. Threatening her would create fear. Neither option is useful. He nods toward the contract burn on her wrist. What did Draal make you sign? Her expression closes. That is none of your concern. The answer comes too quickly. Edrin does not press. Instead, he takes the water cup and lets it slip from his hand. The cup strikes the floor. A tiny preservation charm inside the clay activates, trying to prevent breakage. The spell fails because the cup is already cracked. Its pattern dies and drifts into the air. Pip darts from beneath the bed. The familiar absorbs the epitaph before the clerk can understand what she is seeing. A pale layer settles over its fragile bones. The girl stares. Edrin lifts the broken cup. Magic leaves more behind than mages realize. Her fear does not disappear. It changes shape. Curiosity replaces part of it. That is enough for now. My name is Mara Fen, she says at last. Edrin already read it from the identification plate on her tray. He does not mention that. Mara glances at the dead surveillance lens. The hearing chamber has 6 record crystals. Every statement is copied into the central archive. Useful. She thinks she is warning him. She is actually handing him a weapon. Edrin asks one question. Who controls the archive? Magister Draal. Of course he does. The clerk leaves moments later. The guard seals the door again. Edrin waits until silence returns, then pulls a thin strip of ward paper from beneath the tray. Mara has hidden it there deliberately. A map of the disciplinary chamber is drawn across one side. 6 recording crystals. 2 suppression pillars. 1 emergency barrier. A ventilation shaft connecting the chamber to the western furnace. Our guy examines every marked enchantment. By morning, the plan is complete. He will not fight the hearing. He will feed it exactly what it expects: a frightened labor student, a damaged tunnel, an accidental magical event. Meanwhile, Pip will enter through the ventilation shaft and reach the archive conduit behind the wall. The familiar is too weak to steal active records, but active records eventually stop recording. And the moment those spells die, their final instructions become epitaphs. Copy testimony, preserve evidence, deliver it to the archive. Edrin does not need to destroy Draal's system. He only needs to inherit it after it finishes working. The second bell rings before dawn. The cell door opens. 2 guards enter with fresh restraints. Edrin extends his hands willingly. Pip presses itself flat against the ceiling, hidden beneath a dead concealment pattern harvested from the surveillance crystal. The disguise is imperfect. One sharp-eyed mage could still notice the distortion. Fortunately, Blackthorne's powerful students rarely look upward unless applause is coming from that direction. The guards escort Edrin into the main academy. Morning light pours through stained glass windows. Elemental crests glow across marble walls. Students in blue and silver uniforms move between lecture halls, carrying spellbooks worth more than most villages. Whispers follow him immediately. That is the talentless porter from the dragon incident. He damaged the ossuary. He tried forbidden magic. He nearly killed Cyran Voss. The story has already been rewritten. Cyran waits outside the disciplinary chamber with 3 members of the dueling society. He steps into Edrin's path and examines the bruise on his face. "You should have signed," the noble student says. Edrin looks at him. Cyran expects anger. He receives exhaustion. "I was scared." The answer pleases him. It also convinces the students nearby that Edrin is exactly what the rumors claim: weak, confused, harmless. Cyran leans closer. At the quarry, fear will be useful. There it is. Confirmation. Edrin lowers his head. Above them, hidden inside the decorative beams, Pip slips through an open ventilation grate. The hearing begins. 5 academy officials sit behind a crescent-shaped table. Draal occupies the central seat. 6 record crystals awaken, filling the room with cold blue light. Every word is being copied. Every lie is being preserved. Perfect. Draal reads the charges. Unauthorized entry. Destruction of academy property. Interference with a sealed draconic relic. Use of prohibited death magic. That final accusation creates a murmur among the observers. Edrin keeps his expression blank. They have no proof. But Draal does not need proof if the archive belongs to him. The Magister places a blackened fragment of silver on the table. One of the dragon's control anchors. "This object carries necromantic residue matching the disturbance," he announces. "It was recovered from the accused." That is false. Edrin left all 3 anchors inside the tunnel. Draal has forged the evidence using material taken from somewhere else. More importantly, the Magister has just placed a necromantic object within reach of the suppression field. The pillars react. Their holy barriers flare around the silver fragment, attack the foreign energy, and burn the residue away. The residue dies. An epitaph forms. Purge death influence. Edrin feels the pattern settle into his empty core. One new function. One future weapon. Draal continues speaking, completely unaware that every magical precaution in the room is feeding the accused. Above the chamber, Pip reaches the archive conduit. Its metal wing trembles. The little revenant presses one claw against the crystal pipe and waits. Cyran gives his testimony. He claims the gate was sealed to prevent contamination from spreading upward. He claims Edrin ignored evacuation orders. He claims the dragon reacted to forbidden magic coming from the worker's body. Every lie enters the record. Mara stands beside the wall with a stack of documents pressed against her chest. She never looks at Edrin. Good. Draal asks for the accused's statement. Our necromancer rises. The restraints tighten around his wrists. He looks frightened because frightened men are underestimated. He looks defeated because defeated men are rarely searched carefully. Then he speaks exactly 11 words. I entered the chamber because Magister Draal ordered me to clean it. Silence crashes across the room. Draal's face changes, only slightly. But Edrin sees it. The record crystals continue glowing. The statement enters the archive. A direct accusation now exists inside Draal's own system. The Magister lifts one hand. Terminate the recording. The 6 crystals go dark. Far above them, the archive conduit completes its final command. Copy testimony. Preserve evidence. Deliver it. The spell expires. Pip absorbs the epitaph. A pale duplicate of the hearing record appears inside the familiar's chest, compressed into a rotating shard of blue-gray light. Draal believes he has stopped the record. In reality, he has just handed it to Edrin. The disciplinary council erupts into argument. Cyran demands punishment. 2 officials ask why Draal assigned an untrained worker to a restricted chamber. Mara quietly hides a smile behind her documents. Edrin stands in the center of the chaos with silver chains around his wrists. He has not cleared his name. He has not exposed the conspiracy. That would be premature. Instead, he has planted doubt, acquired a purge command, copied the hearing record, and confirmed that Drawl desperately fears scrutiny of the ossuary. 4 gains from 1 accusation. Not bad for a student with no talent. Drawl slams his staff against the floor. The emergency barrier activates around Edrin. Pip drops from the ventilation shaft at the exact same moment. The familiar lands on the barrier's upper frame and drives its metal wing into a control crystal. The strike is weak. The timing is perfect. A fracture spreads through the spell. The barrier holds for 1 second. Then it dies. Its epitaph rushes toward Edrin. Contain the target. Separate the interior from the exterior. Maintain a sealed space. His 7th slot fills. The young man closes his hand around the new pattern. Not to escape. Not yet. He simply stores it. The guard sees him again. Drawl orders the hearing postponed until the following day. Cyran watches Edrin with open hatred now. That is fine. Hatred narrows attention. Suspicion broadens it. Edrin prefers his enemies narrow. As the guards drag him from the chamber, Pip disappears into the folds of his coat. The copied testimony turns quietly inside its reconstructed chest. The familiar's new metal wing is cracked from the strike. A second line of gray light now runs along its edge. Evolution progress has begun. Our Necromancer passes beneath Blackthorne's central tower and feels the ancient dragon shift far below. 7 epitaphs rest inside his vacant core. 1 familiar carries evidence that can ruin a magister. And somewhere beneath the academy, an entire graveyard of dead magic is waiting to be inherited. Edrin touches the hidden mark carved into his palm. The dragon answers. This time, a second corpse answers with it. The second corpse beneath Blackthorne Academy is not supposed to be human. Edrin realizes this while guards drag him across the eastern courtyard in front of nearly 600 students. Beneath his boots, something armored scratches against the underside of the stone. See, the Academy's burial ledgers describe every creature sealed below the campus. There is 1 dragon, 12 lesser drakes, 34 war beasts, and enough enchanted remains to keep Blackthorne's wards burning for another century. There is no armored man, yet a human-shaped corpse is moving directly beneath Edrin. That changes the plan. Until now, our Necromancer expects Magister Drawl to be tampering with the dragon alone. A hidden human cadaver means the conspiracy is older, more deliberate, and probably tied to someone Blackthorne erased from its records. Edrin stops walking. The guards jerk his chains. Move. He looks toward the central dueling arena. Hundreds of students are gathering around it. This is not another hearing. Cyran Voss stands inside the ring wearing full combat robes, golden fire circling both hands. Beside him, Magister Drawl speaks quietly with 3 faculty judges. They postpone the council for 1 night. Apparently, that was enough time to replace legal procedure with public entertainment. Mara Fen waits near the record platform. Her face is pale. A fresh contract mark burns beneath her sleeve, and 2 wardens stand close enough to stop her from speaking freely. Edrin studies the arena. The stone ring contains suppression pillars, impact barriers, healing runes, and 12 record crystals. Most students assume the protections exist to prevent fatal injuries. Edrin sees what they become after they break. 12 possible epitaphs, 4 containment patterns, 1 emergency restoration array, a ridiculous amount of ammunition. Cyran smiles when the guards bring him forward. Blackthorne law permits an accused practitioner of forbidden magic to prove control through sanctioned combat, he announces. That is technically true. The law exists so noble students can avoid execution after losing control of dangerous bloodline spells. Using it against a labor porter is creative. Drawl raises his staff. If Edrin Vale survives 3 exchanges against an academy-ranked opponent without displaying corruption, the council will reconsider the charges. 3 exchanges. Cyran's fire can melt fortress steel. Edrin's wrists are still chained. The crowd understands exactly what this is. Some students look uncomfortable. Most look excited. A public execution becomes remarkably acceptable when someone calls it an assessment. Edrin steps into the arena. Pip remains hidden beneath his coat. The Revenant's reconstructed bones press against his ribs, and the copied hearing record still rotates inside its chest. Its damaged metal wing has been reinforced with the dead preservation charm from the prison cup, but 1 direct hit will still tear the little creature apart. The familiar is stronger. It is nowhere near ready. Neither is Edrin. That does not matter. Cyran walks to the center of the ring. You should have gone quietly. Edrin turns his chained hands over. You sealed 4 workers underground. A murmur passes through the spectators. Cyran's smile disappears. Drawl strikes his staff against the platform. The arena activates. Blue barriers rise around the ring, separating the fighters from the crowd. Suppression, pressure crashes down over Edrin's body. Again, it finds no mana to crush. Cyran extends one hand. Golden flame gathers into a spear. The attack is excessive, that is useful. Powerful spells leave clearer epitaphs. The judge drops his arm. Cyran fires. The flame spear crosses the arena almost instantly. Edrin twists, but the spell changes direction in midair. It curves around his shoulder and slams into his back. Pain explodes through him. The impact throws our guy across the ring. He strikes the barrier hard enough to crack stone beneath his feet, then falls face first onto the arena floor. The crowd erupts. Cyran does not wait for the next exchange. A second spear forms above him. The judges pretend not to notice. Edrin forces himself upright. His coat smolders. Blood runs down his spine. The first stage is brutal, but necessary. He needed to feel the spell's full structure. Cyran's golden spear does not merely track mana. If it did, Edrin would have been invisible to it. The spell follows heat. More precisely, it locks onto the warmest moving object inside the barrier. That is why the attack curves. That is also why Cyran chose this arena. The containment field traps heat. Every second makes the tracking stronger. Edrin's eyes move toward the damaged stone where the first spear struck. The fire itself is still active. No epitaph yet. He needs the spell to die. Cyran launches the second spear. This time Edrin runs toward it. The audience goes silent. At the last second, the Necromancer drops flat. The spear passes over him and strikes the opposite barrier. Golden fire spreads across the blue surface. The defensive runes absorb the attack, struggle, and extinguish it. A dead pattern peels away from the impact point. Pursue heat. Correct trajectory. Pierce the marked target. Edrin pulls the epitaph into his vacant core. 8 patterns try to occupy 7 slots. Agony tears through his nerves. He immediately releases the weak concealment pattern Pip has been using. The familiar becomes visible beneath his coat for half a heartbeat before crawling deeper into the fabric. A few nearby students notice a flash of bone. Most assume it is debris. Cyran raises both hands. You keep dodging. Edrin rises slowly. That tends to happen when someone is trying to kill a person. Laughter breaks from one section of the stands. Cyran's face darkens. Good. Angry opponents repeat themselves. The noble mage creates 4 golden spears. The judges exchange glances. 3 exchanges are already over. No one stops the duel. Draal never intended to. Edrin glances toward the Magister. Draal is not watching the fight. He is watching the arena floor. More specifically, he is watching the point directly above the hidden armored corpse. The scratching beneath the stone grows louder. Draal hears it too, so he knows what is buried there. The Necromancer revises his priorities. Winning is no longer enough. He needs to force Draal to react. 4 spears launch from different angles. Edrin sprints toward the western suppression pillar. The first attack clips his side. The second burns across his thigh. The third misses by inches. The fourth drives through his chains and pins them to the pillar behind him. Golden fire wraps around his wrists. The metal begins to melt. Cyran walks closer. The crowd quiets again. Our hero pulls against the chains once. They do not move. He could activate the dead punishment pattern stored from the interrogation room. He could reverse its restriction command and force the restraints to open. That would reveal too much. Instead, he studies Cyran. The noble mage's breathing remains steady. His mana reserve is still massive. His stance is flawless. But every spear begins in the same place, a point just above his right shoulder. The spell requires Cyran to compress fire into a tracking core before shaping the weapon around it. For less than a second, that core is exposed. Edrin cannot attack it with living magic. He does not need to. Pip moves beneath his coat. Not yet. The Revenant still lacks the speed. Cyran creates a 5th spear. Edrin shifts his attention toward the arena wards. 3 barriers have absorbed golden fire. 1 suppression pillar is overheating. The healing array beneath the floor activates each time his blood touches the stone, then shuts down when it detects his empty mana channels. Repeated failure is wearing the spell apart. Everything is approaching death at once. That is the opportunity. The interface behind his eyes gives the combination a name only after he understands it. Epitaph Convergence. Multiple dead spells can be arranged around a single command and reactivated together. Each pattern retains its original purpose, but the combined structure behaves like one larger incantation. The skill is unstable. His current limit is 3 epitaphs. Using more could rupture the vacant core. Edrin needs only 3. A spear tracking pattern, a containment barrier, a purge command. Pursue, trap, erase. A small test now, a much larger execution later. Cyran's 5th spear ignites. Last chance, the noble student says. Admit what you are. Edrin looks directly at him. That is the problem. The chains around his wrists finally melt. They have no idea what I am. Cyran fires. Edrin slams both palms against the suppression pillar. The damaged restraint spell dies at the same instant. Its command enters his hands. Restrict movement. That makes 4 possible patterns. Too many. He discards the restraint command and keeps the original 3. The Necromancer twists them together. Gray lines spread from his fingers. The tracking epitaph coils first. The dead barrier pattern wraps around it. The purge command settles at the center. Epitaph convergence activates. The golden spear changes direction. Cyran's eyes widen. His own spell curves away from Edrin. It circles the arena once, gaining speed as the dead tracking command overrides the living one. Then a transparent gray shell closes around the weapon. The containment epitaph traps the flame inside itself. Finally, the purge command ignites. Golden fire begins erasing golden fire. The spear consumes its own structure from the inside. Students rise from their seats. Faculty members lean forward. No one recognizes the spell. They cannot. It is built from the corpses of 3 unrelated enchantments. The trapped spear shrinks into a blazing sphere, no larger than an apple. Edrin closes one hand. The gray containment shell flies towards Cyran. The noble mage throws up a fire shield, exactly as expected. Pip launches from Edrin's coat. The revenant is still too slow to cross the entire arena, so our necromancer gives it the dead tracking pattern. For one final use, the familiar does not need to fly well. It only needs to follow heat. Gray light ignites along Pip's metal wing. The tiny skeleton becomes a streak. It curves around Cyran's shield, slips beneath his raised arm, and drives the wing blade into the exposed tracking core above his right shoulder. The unfinished spear collapses. Flame detonates against Cyran's own body. His shield turns inward. The gray sphere reaches him one breath later. Containment closes. Purge activates. Every fire spell touching Cyran begins devouring the others. His protective robe dies first. The shield follows. Golden rings around his wrists crack apart. Cyran screams as his entire magical defense collapses without burning the skin beneath it. That is the savage elegance of the technique. Edrin is not stronger than Cyran. He simply makes the nobleman's spells execute themselves. Cyran drops to the stone, unable to summon even a spark. Pip strikes the ground beside him. The familiar's metal wing snaps in half. Its chest fractures. But the revenant remains upright long enough to hook one skeletal claw beneath Cyran's collar and tear away the Voss family focus gem. The gem skids across the arena. Pip collapses after it. A companion with negligible combat value has just disarmed Blackthorne's highest-ranked first year. The stands explode into noise. Edrin tears the remaining chain from the pillar and walks toward the fallen familiar. He does not look at Cyran. That insults the noble student more than any victory speech could. The necromancer picks Pip up carefully. Its gray core flickers. Still intact, barely. A new readout appears, convergence exposure detected, companion vessel adapting, heat tracking function partially integrated. The familiar's broken wing twitches toward the Voss gem. Even half destroyed, Pip wants the prize. Edrin collects it. The moment his fingers touch the crystal, he feels dozens of burned spell patterns inside. House Voss stores generations of fire techniques within its focus gems. Most remain active and inaccessible. One has just died. Golden Spear Foundation. Cyran's signature spell begins with that command structure. Edrin absorbs the epitaph. His 7th slot fills again. The 4th stage begins. The defeated spell does not merely become a weapon. It becomes material. Edrin now understands how Voss fire compresses, tracks, and accelerates. He cannot generate golden flame, but he can graft those instructions onto future undead. Pip's next body will not need functional wings. It may be able to launch itself like a projectile. The crowd chants no name yet. They are too confused. Some call Edrin a curse user. Others insist Cyran's magic malfunctioned. A few students stare at the revenant in his hands and understand the truth. The talentless porter has awakened something forbidden. Drawl strikes his staff against the judge's platform. Seize him! Faculty mages rise. That reaction is too fast. Too frightened. The command confirms what Edrin already suspects. Drawl did not arrange this duel to test him. He wanted Cyran's fire to kill Edrin before the young necromancer could interact with whatever lies beneath the arena. The floor cracks. Everyone freezes. A steel gauntlet punches through the stone. The hidden corpse drags itself upward. Black armor emerges first, covered in faded silver scripture. Then comes a helmet split by an executioner's blade. Chains wrap around the dead warrior's torso, each one marked with Blackthorne's oldest crest. The Academy records contain no mention of him, but the judges recognize the armor. One elderly professor whispers a name. Sir Orsic. Mara drops her documents. Cyran looks genuinely terrified. Drawl looks furious. The corpse rises to its full height. It carries no weapon. It does not need one. Pressure rolls across the arena as dead royal-grade enchantments awaken inside its armor. The barriers shake. Students flee the lower seats. Edrin studies the night. The dragon's pulse summoned it. That part fits. What does not fit is the control mark branded across the corpse's chest. It matches the residue on Dral's staff. Edrin expected one saboteur manipulating ancient remains. The mark proves something larger. Sir Orsic was prepared in advance. Someone planned to awaken him, and judging by the command burning inside the corpse, the target was never Edrin. The dead knight turns towards Cyran Voss. Dral shouts a suppression order. Sir Orsic ignores him. The corpse takes one step. Stone shatters beneath its boot. Edrin had planned to expose Dral gradually using the copied hearing record. That plan is now useless. The hidden knight is active too early. Either the dragon's awakening accelerated the schedule, or another necromancer is moving pieces beneath Blackthorne. Our guy recalibrates immediately. Evidence can wait. Survival cannot. He removes the Voss focus gem from his pocket and presses it into Pip's broken chest. The familiar's core grabs the dead fire structure. Gray light spreads through its ribs. One shattered wing reshapes into a narrow golden-black blade, not a complete evolution, a forced adaptation. Enough for one more action. Sir Orsic lunges at Cyran. Faculty spells crash into the night and vanish against the runes in his armor. The corpse tears through the first barrier, then the second. Cyran tries to summon fire. Nothing answers. Edrin erased too much of his active structure. The noble student looks toward him. For the first time, there is no arrogance in his face. Only the realization that the supposedly useless boy is the one person in the arena capable of controlling dead magic. Edrin places Pip on his shoulder. The familiar locks its new blade wing into position. Magister Dral raises his staff, preparing to destroy both the knight and every witness close enough to understand what is happening. Edrin sees the spell gather. He also sees the dead dragon's mark pulsing through the floor. One command rests beneath the academy. One corpse stands above it. The young necromancer steps between Sir Orsic and Cyran, not to save the nobleman. To claim the knight before Dral can erase him, Edrin drives the Voss focus gem into the cracked arena stone. Pip launches like a golden-black arrow, and beneath 600 terrified students, the dead dragon answers its master with a roar. Pip reaches Sir Orsic first. The revenant strikes the dead knight's chest like a fired blade, driving the Voss focus gem directly into the ancient control mark. Golden fire flashes, gray death resonance answers, and the two powers begin tearing the command apart from opposite directions. Sir Orsic stops one step from Cyran. His armored fist hangs in the air. The noble student remains beneath it, completely frozen, while heat rolls from the embedded gem and dead scripture crawls across the knight's breastplate. Edrin feels every layer of the struggle. Dral's mark orders the corpse to kill. The dragon's pulse orders it to awaken. The ancient chains around its body command it to remain buried. 3 masters, 3 contradictory instructions. No wonder the knight moves like a broken machine. Magister Dral raises his staff. A sphere of white destruction gathers above the crystal. He is not trying to suppress Sir Orsic anymore. He intends to erase the corpse, the control mark, and Pip in one strike. Edrin acts first. He slams one palm against the arena floor and reaches for the dragon's remembered command beneath the academy. Remain still. The order is too weak to control Sir Orsic directly, so our necromancer threads it through the dead containment pattern already stored inside his core. Epitaph convergence locks around the knight's legs. Gray symbols climb the black armor. Sir Orsic's fist trembles inches from Cyran's face. The corpse resists. Stone cracks beneath his boots. Edrin's vacant core feels as though someone is driving a heated nail through it, but he holds the structure together. Now, he says. Pip tears the Voss gem sideways. The stolen fire foundation cuts through Dral's brand. The Magister's control mark splits open. A pulse of black light erupts from the wound and blasts the little revenant across the arena. Pip strikes a barrier post. Its reinforced chest caves inward. The golden black wing breaks again. Yet the familiar has already completed the only action that matters. Dral loses control. Sir Orsic turns away from Cyran. His helmet faces the Magister. For one brutal second, Corvin Dral looks exactly like a man being recognized by his victim. Then the destruction spell leaves his staff. White light swallows the arena. Faculty barriers surge around the students. Marble seats fracture. Record crystals burst. The impact throws Edrin across the ring and buries half the platform beneath powdered stone. When the light fades, Sir Orsic is gone. Not destroyed, gone. A circular hole burns through the arena floor where the knight stood. Broken chains descend into darkness, and one armored handprint remains melted into the stone. Dral stares at the opening. That reaction tells Edrin everything. The Magister did not expect the corpse to escape underground. Someone else called it back. The second necromantic presence is real, and it just took Sir Orsic away. The academy descends into absolute chaos. Healers rush toward Cyran. Professors reinforce the damaged arena. Students flood the exits while spreading 6 different versions of what happened. In one version, Edrin defeats Cyran with a forbidden curse. In another, he saves Cyran from a legendary undead knight. A third claims the talentless porter commands the dragon itself. That last rumor is dangerously close to the truth. Edrin pushes himself upright. His knees almost fail. The convergence has drained nearly everything he can safely channel. Gray cracks crawl beneath the skin of his right hand, proof that the vacant core can still be overloaded even if mana cannot damage it normally. Pip lies beneath a broken seat. Our hero reaches the familiar before the faculty does. The revenant's body is shattered. Its core remains intact. Again, the tiny creature curls one surviving claw around a fragment of Sir Orsik's control mark. Even while collapsing, Pip has stolen a piece of the enemy command. That stubborn little habit is becoming useful. Edrin hides both the familiar and the fragment inside his coat. Draal reaches him moments later. The Magister's expression is controlled now, but the hand gripping his staff is white. What did you do? Edrin looks toward the hole in the arena. I stayed alive. Draal steps closer. You controlled that corpse. No. That answer is technically true. Edrin disrupted the control. He never possessed Sir Orsik. The Magister studies him with the careful hatred of someone deciding whether a tool has become too dangerous to keep. Then Cyran coughs behind them. Dozens of students watch the noble heir being lifted onto a healer's platform. They also watch Edrin standing. Publicly executing him is no longer simple. Too many witnesses saw Pip stop the knight. Too many record crystals captured the duel before Draal destroyed them. And too many influential families now want to know why an erased royal corpse was buried beneath a first-year arena. The Academy cannot send Edrin quietly to a Voss quarry anymore, so Draal changes strategy. By sunset, the official announcement appears across every notice board in Blackthorne. Edrin Vale is not expelled. He is reassigned. The Academy names him a provisional assistant to the Ash Wardens, citing his unusual resistance to necromantic contamination. He will remain under Magister Draal's direct supervision and help inspect damaged relic chambers beneath the campus. Students read the announcement as punishment. Draal considers it containment. Edrin sees it for what it truly is. Access. The Magister has just handed him permission to enter the ossuary, exactly as planned. The bait works because Edrin spent every earlier encounter appearing limited. He lets Draal see the injuries. He allows the faculty healers to confirm his body contains no mana. He makes no attempt to defend his name publicly. Most importantly, he leaves the Voss focus gem inside the shattered arena where investigators can find it. The evidence suggests Pip's strange power came from a stolen noble artifact. Draal wants to believe that. It means Edrin is not a new sovereign necromancer. He is merely an empty vessel borrowing fragments from stronger magic. A dangerous vessel, perhaps. Still controllable. The Magister signs the reassignment order himself. That signature opens 13 sealed corridors. Mara brings Edrin the uniform on the following morning. It is plain gray, marked with the iron lantern of the Ash Wardens. The sleeves are too long, and someone has deliberately removed the rank insignia. You are either the luckiest person in Blackthorne, she says, or the least fortunate. Edrin fastens the coat. Those are usually the same person. Mara glances toward his room. Pip stands on the desk in a temporary body built from brass wire, raven bones, and pieces of a broken barrier crystal. The familiar has changed. Its left wing remains narrow and blade-shaped, carrying the Voss tracking pattern. Its right wing is wider, formed from overlapping crystal plates that can fold around its body like a shield. The fragment stolen from Sir Orsik rests inside its chest. Ancient silver scripture pulses along the ribs. The evolution is incomplete, but obvious. Pip no longer falls while walking. It no longer collides with walls. Now it circles the room in tight, controlled loops, adjusting its course whenever Mara moves. Then it dives toward the documents in her hand. Mara raises them out of reach. Pip changes direction, catches the reassignment seal with one claw, and tears it cleanly from the page. The Revenant lands beside Edrin and drops the seal into his palm. It has identified the only magical object in the stack. Not merely perception, selection. The Knight's command fragment has improved its ability to distinguish authority marks from ordinary spellwork. Edrin places the seal back on the document. Pip lowers its skull. The posture looks almost guilty. Almost. Mara stares at the familiar. It has a personality now. It always did. That thing stole my seal. It has standards. Pip taps its metal wing against the desk. A sharp little sound. Mara narrows her eyes. The familiar taps again. Edrin turns away before either of them notices the faint amusement in his face. The Ash Wardens begin his inspection at the shallowest burial level. Draal assigns 2 senior guards to accompany him. Both carry sanctified spears. Both have orders to kill anything Edrin raises without permission. The first chamber contains the remains of 12 horned wolves once used as battlefield mounts. Their bones are wired into the walls, where old reinforcement spells draw strength from residual marrow. Edrin sees hundreds of faded epitaphs. Most are too damaged to use. A few remain intact. Accelerate on command. Ignore pain. Protect the rider. He touches none of them. The guards watch closely. Drawl watches through a remote lens. Our Necromancer spends the entire inspection identifying cracked support runes and pretending the dead magic is invisible to him. At the final wall, he points toward a weak binding plate. That one will fail within a week. One guard laughs. The warden supervising the chamber checks the plate anyway. The rune fractures beneath his inspection tool. The laughter stops. Edrin earns limited credibility without revealing the reason. He does the same thing for 3 days. He predicts failures. He identifies contaminated relics. He helps the wardens remove unstable enchantments before they collapse. Blackthorne begins using him as a living warning instrument. Every removal leaves a fresh epitaph. Every repaired chamber creates discarded spell fragments. Edrin cannot carry them all inside his core, so he builds storage. The idea comes from Sir Orsik's chains and the dragon's silver anchors. Preserved commands survive when fixed inside a physical medium designed to remember one purpose. Mara steals damaged ward tags from the archive refuse. Edrin cleans them. Pip sorts them by function. Together, they create thin black tablets no larger than 2 fingers. Each tablet can hold 1 dead spell pattern. The first attempts fail. One bursts and fills the room with freezing mist. Another repeatedly locks and unlocks Mara's desk drawer until the hinges tear off. The third works. Edrin stores an extinguished illumination spell inside it. When he breaks the tablet, the dead command produces 1 final sphere of pale light. External epitaph storage. His core still holds only 7 patterns. Now his hidden collection can grow beyond that limit. By the end of the first week, he has 23 stable tablets. 5 contain movement commands, 4 preserve barriers. 3 hold detection patterns, 2 carry heat pursuit, 1 contains the purge instruction. The rest preserve minor functions, silence, adhesion, pressure release, structural reinforcement, and message copying. None is overwhelming alone. Together, they form a language no living mage knows how to read. Pip receives the first major upgrade. Edrin combines heat pursuit with the knight's authority recognition and the barrier crystal's defensive response. Instead of simply attacking the warmest target, the Revenant can now identify the source controlling nearby magic. The result becomes obvious during a warden inspection. A storage coffin begins leaking red mist. The guards blame the corpse inside. Pip ignores it. The familiar flies past the coffin, circles a supervising mage, and strikes a ring hidden beneath his glove. The ring cracks. The mist stops. Someone had been feeding mana into the coffin remotely. The supervising mage runs. Pip catches him before the guards do. Its blade wing cuts through the escape spell forming beneath his feet. The dead teleportation structure collapses, and the Revenant wraps its shield wing around the man's ankle. Edrin arrives seconds later. The captured mage carries a key marked with Drawl's private seal. The Magister claims the man acted alone. No one believes that completely, but no one can challenge Drawl openly without evidence. Fortunately, Edrin now has evidence. Pip's chest records the authority signature from the ring. It matches the residue found on Sir Orsik and the dragon anchor. 3 linked incidents, 1 hidden command language. The network becomes visible, not to the Academy, to Edrin. He names the pattern the Hollow Script. Someone is using it to command buried corpses through active magic. That explains why Edrin can disrupt the orders but not trace the true source. The script is layered. Drawl applies the visible command, while another hand provides the deeper authority. Magister Drawl is not the mastermind. He is a middleman. That realization makes him more dangerous, not less. Men serving unseen masters tend to panic when plans fail. The Academy's attitude toward Edrin begins changing. Labor students leave cracked charms near his door, hoping he can identify whether they are dangerous. Scholarship mages ask quiet questions about dead zones and spell failures. Even 2 junior wardens begin reporting suspicious relic activity directly to him instead of Drawl. Mara organizes the information. She creates a hidden ledger containing names, locations, times, and magical residues. The pages use ordinary ink. No enchantment means no remote tracking. By the second week, 11 people contribute to the ledger. By the third, that number reaches 19. They are not followers. Not yet. They are workers, clerks, failed students, and minor mages who have learned that Edrin notices problems the Academy prefers to bury. His influence grows through usefulness. That makes it harder to destroy. Drawl responds by giving him more responsibility. The Magister believes exhaustion will make Edrin careless. He assigns him 6 chambers per day, then 8. He orders him to inspect relics no apprentice should approach. Each assignment feeds the collection. 31 tablets. 46. 62. Edrin stores them inside an abandoned furnace room connected to the old ash tunnels. The iron shelves once held cremation fuel. Now they contain the remains of dead magic arranged by purpose. Pip guards the entrance. The familiar develops another habit. Whenever someone approaches, it removes the most dangerous tablet from the nearest shelf and holds it in its beak. Mara calls that paranoid. Edrin calls it prepared. Far below, the dragon continues responding to his mark. Not with words, with direction. Each pulse guides him toward deeper burial chambers. One night, the signal leads beneath the Western Library. Edrin, Mara, and Pip enter through a sealed maintenance shaft using a dead opening command stored in one tablet. They descend past 2 forgotten floors. The air grows colder. At the bottom waits a circular hall containing 30 stone coffins. Every coffin bears the crest of a Blackthorne founder. The Academy claims those founders were buried in the royal capital. Apparently, history has flexible geography. Pip lands on the nearest coffin. Its authority recognition script activates. Silver lines spread across its body. Then every coffin answers. 30 hollow script marks ignite beneath the lids. Mara steps back. Edrin remains still. These corpses are not sleeping accidentally. They are an army, and someone has been preparing them beneath the Academy for years. A quiet click sounds behind the group. Dral stands in the entrance. 4 elite ash wardens surround him. The Magister looks past Edrin toward the coffins, then lets out a slow breath. Not surprise, relief. He wanted Edrin to find this place. The deeper trap finally shows itself. Dral raises a black tablet identical in shape to Edrin's external storage. You have been collecting dead spells, he says. Our Necromancer looks at the object. The design is older, more refined. Someone discovered epitaph storage long before him. Dral smiles. You thought the Academy was studying you because it feared what you could become. The 30 coffins begin unlocking. Blackthorne has been waiting for someone like you. Pip spreads both wings. Mara reaches for the hidden ledger beneath her coat. Edrin studies the Magister's tablet, the opening coffins, and the hollow script burning beneath every lid. Dral believes he has finally brought the empty vessel to the correct machine. He believes the weeks of access, assignments, and harvested magic have prepared Edrin for this chamber. He believes the bait has been swallowed. That is the beautiful part. Edrin has been leading him here just as carefully. The Necromancer closes his fist. 62 stored epitaphs answer from the furnace room above. And all across Blackthorne Academy, dead spells begin waking up. 62 dead spells answer at once, not inside the chamber. Across the entire Academy, doors lock without living mana. Dormitory lamps burn with colorless flame. Practice barriers fold inward like closing jaws. Every discarded command Edrin has stored inside the abandoned furnace room activates through a single linked instruction. Listen for the hollow script. Dral's smile vanishes. The 30 founder coffins continue opening, but now every active control mark inside them is broadcasting its position through Blackthorne's own dead enchantments. Edrin sees the network spread beneath the campus. Gray threads run from the burial hall toward the northern tower, the central archive, the dueling arena, and 3 faculty residences. Smaller lines reach into student dormitories where relics have been hidden inside walls, furniture, and ceremonial statues. This is larger than an undead army. The entire academy is a ritual structure. Magister Dral closes his hand around the black tablet. The founder coffins burst open. 30 armored corpses rise in absolute silence. Each one wears robes from a different century. Some carry staffs. Others clutch ceremonial swords or iron-bound grimoires. Their faces remain covered by silver burial masks, and hollow script burns behind every eye. Mara takes 1 step back. Pip spreads both reconstructed wings. Edrin remains still. The dead founders do not attack him. They kneel. Dral's smile returns. There, he says quietly. That is what you were made for. Our Necromancer studies the kneeling corpses. Their obedience is not directed toward him. It is directed toward the vacancy inside him. The ritual recognizes his empty core as an unoccupied throne. That distinction matters. Dral believes Edrin can become the controlling intelligence for the entire network. The Magister does not want to kill him anymore. He wants to install him. A circular seal ignites beneath Edrin's boots. The floor becomes transparent. Far below, the dragon's skeleton stretches beneath Blackthorne like the roots of a dead god. Thousands of silver channels connect its bones to every academy tower. At the center of the dragon's ribcage sits an enormous black crystal. The crystal is hollow, waiting. The system behind Edrin's eyes reacts violently. Sovereign receptacle detected. Artificial vacancy. Incompatible authority source concealed. Then the readout fractures. Something inside the crystal looks back. Not a corpse. Not a spell. A presence. Edrin feels it for less than a second before the chamber walls slam between them. That is enough. The unseen master behind Drawl is not merely controlling corpses from a distance. It lives inside Blackthorne's power source. Drawl opens both arms like a priest unveiling an altar. Your failure was never a defect, he says. Mana would only have made you unsuitable. Edrin looks toward him. The Magister mistakes attention for submission. Every generation produces empty children. Drawl continues. Most die young. Some survive. None possess the stability you have demonstrated. Mara's face tightens. Drawl has done this before. Not successfully. The 30 corpses rise from their kneeling positions. Black tablets emerge from the walls around the chamber. Hundreds of them. Each one carries a preserved magical command. Edrin's own storage system is not an invention. It is a crude rediscovery of Blackthorne's original necromantic machinery. That should trouble him. Instead, it gives him scale. The founders preserve one command per tablet, just as he does. Their network links those commands through the hollow script. The difference lies in the central authority. Their system requires a sovereign receptacle, a mind capable of selecting which dead commands activate, an empty human core. Drawl points toward the open coffins. You can command all of them. Edrin says nothing. You can command every corpse beneath the academy. Silence. You can become what no living mage could ever become. That part is true. It is also incomplete. Edrin watches Drawl's hand. The black tablet trembles slightly. The Magister is nervous. He has brought Edrin into the chamber because his master ordered it. But he is no longer certain the ritual remains under control. Good. Doubt has entered. Now Edrin needs greed to overpower it. He steps closer to the transparent floor. The 30 founders turn their masked faces toward him. Pip follows at shoulder height. One of the corpses reacts to the familiar. A founder in torn white robes raises 2 fingers. Pip freezes midair. Its blade wing locks. Its shield wing folds shut. An ancient authority command wraps around its core. Drawl smiles again. Your creature is impressive for an accident. Pip's eyelights burn brighter. Imagine what you could build with proper instruction. The founder twists 2 fingers. Pip crashes to the floor. Mara moves forward instinctively. Edrin lifts one hand, stopping her. The familiar struggles against the command. Its bones scrape across the stone. The silver fragment inside its chest pulses in the same rhythm as the founder's mask. Sir Orsik's stolen script recognizes the authority attempting to dominate it. For one moment, thin markings spread from Pip's ribs to its skull. Not resistance. Adaptation. The command is teaching the Revenant how higher undead authority feels. Edrin files that away. The founder releases its grip. Pip rises unsteadily. A new line appears behind Edrin's eyes. Companion vessel exposed to sovereign pressure. Authority core formation possible. Missing component. Self-chosen command. There it is. The next evolution cannot come from another stolen function. Pip must create an instruction of its own. Every command inside the familiar currently comes from dead magic Edrin harvested. Move, observe, protect, pursue, identify authority. Useful, but borrowed. For Pip to become something greater, it must decide what it exists to do. Drawl sees only weakness. He places the black tablet against Edrin's chest. The ritual begins. Cold pressure pours into the vacant core. The hollow script tries to write itself along Edrin's nerves, assigning him the role of sovereign receptacle. 30 founder corpses wait for the command to settle. Edrin allows the first layer inside, then the second. The process hurts less than expected. That is dangerous. The system is designed for bodies like his. A lesser empty child would probably accept the structure without understanding it. Edrin understands too much. The ritual does not grant control. It builds dependency. Every corpse answers through the black crystal beneath the dragon. Every stored command flows through that central source. The supposed sovereign is only an interface. A decorative king chained to an unseen throne. The presence beneath Blackthorne would still decide which commands remain available. Drawl thinks he is offering godhood. He is offering employment, unpaid, naturally. Edrin lowers his head. The Magister leans closer. Do you feel them? Yes. The answer is honest. Then command 1. Edrin looks at the nearest founder. The corpse carries a staff wrapped in fossilized vines. 3 dead spells remain preserved inside it. Root the target. Drain movement. Return stolen energy to the source. Edrin selects the first command. The founder raises its staff. Black roots burst from the chamber floor and wrap around Mara's ankles. She flinches but does not scream. Drawl's expression becomes almost reverent. The elite wardens lower their weapons. They believe the installation is working. Edrin sends a second command. Release. The roots withdraw. Simple obedience. Nothing threatening. Exactly what Drawl needs to see. For the next hour, Edrin performs carefully. He makes one founder walk. Another lifts a coffin lid. A third creates a barrier across the doorway. Each instruction passes through the central crystal before reaching the corpse. With every command, Edrin maps another section of the network. He learns where authority branches. He identifies which tablets regulate movement, perception, containment, and suppression. He also finds 7 sealed channels Drawl never activates. Those channels descend directly into the dragon, restricted commands. Probably the real reason the Academy was built. Edrin does not touch them. Yet, Drawl watches his progress with growing excitement. The Magister begins explaining more than he should, not the entire plan. He is too cautious for that, but pride loosens details. Blackthorne's founders did not defeat the dragon beneath the Academy. They discovered it already dead, its soul missing and its bones saturated with an unknown power. They built the first hollow script to imitate that power. They failed. Every living mage who attempted to control the network suffered mana collapse. So the Academy began searching for people born without magical resonance, empty children. Most could hold 1 or 2 dead commands before their bodies failed. Edrin holds dozens. Drawl calls him the culmination of 200 years of research. Mara's hands tighten at her sides. Edrin keeps his expression empty. 200 years means records, names, disappearances. Families told their children died from illness or accidents. Blackthorne has not merely exploited talentless students as labor. It has been sorting them, testing them, discarding them beneath the Academy when they fail. The emotional reaction comes cold. No outburst, no speech. Edrin simply changes one future decision. Drawl will not be allowed to leave Blackthorne alive. The Magister steps beside him. The formal installation occurs during Founders' Convocation in 3 days. That is the grand event. Every noble patron, senior professor, and royal observer will attend. The Academy plans to present a restored defense network after the arena disaster. Publicly, Drawl will claim the Founders' corpses are protective constructs. Privately, he will place Edrin inside the central crystal and complete the hollow throne. The Magister has reached the peak of his confidence. He controls the wardens, he controls the archive, he controls the evidence, and soon, he expects to control the first stable sovereign receptacle in Blackthorne history. The trap looks complete. Only one detail troubles him. Drawl looks toward Pip. The Revenant has not moved since the Founder forced it down. Its skull remains lowered. Its wings hang loose. To the Magister, the creature appears damaged by sovereign pressure. Edrin sees the truth. Pip is listening. Every Founder command passing through the chamber leaves a faint vibration inside its silver scripture. The familiar tracks those rhythms, compares them, and quietly copies the spaces between instructions, not the commands themselves. The moment of choice before a command forms. A tiny gray point begins growing inside its chest beside the existing core. Self-authority. Still weak. Still incomplete. Foreshadowed, not finished. Edrin bends and lifts Pip onto his shoulder. The familiar's claws tighten against his coat. 1, tap. Then 2. Their private signal for active surveillance. Something besides Drawl is watching the chamber. The presence inside the crystal. Edrin turns toward the transparent floor. For half a second, a figure appears within the black core beneath the dragon. Tall, human-shaped. Covered in chains made from writing, its face is hidden behind a smooth white mask. Then the image vanishes. Drawl notices Edrin staring. What do you see? Nothing. The Magister studies him. Doubt returns. This time it remains. Drawl ends the ritual immediately. The hollow script withdraws from Edrin's nerves. The Founder corpses return to their coffins. Black tablets slide back into the walls. 4 wardens surround him again. The Magister presses 2 fingers against Edrin's throat, checking for magical residue. There is none. Naturally. Dead commands do not leave living mana. Drawl's suspicion grows. You adapted too quickly. Edrin meets his gaze. You said I was made for it. The Magister dislikes hearing his own logic return to him. He walks toward the doorway, then stops. Your storage chamber has been emptied. That is a test. Mara looks at Edrin. Our Necromancer does not react. Drawl watches closely. We recovered 62 tablets from the Western Furnace, so the collection has been discovered. That should ruin everything. Instead, Edrin asks, did they activate? Drawl's eyes narrow. Some. Then they were unstable. A small shrug. I expected that. The answer sounds like embarrassment. A novice experimenter whose work exceeded his control. Drawl wants to believe it. The Magister raises his black tablet. You copied this design. I copied what the dead spells were already doing. Another honest answer. Drawl circles him slowly. Why create so many? To see whether the limit belonged to me or the storage. And? The storage. That is also true. Every answer reveals something while hiding the larger picture. Drawl reaches the final question. Why did they activate when you entered this chamber? Edrin lets silence stretch. Not too long. Long enough to look ashamed. I told them to respond if I was restrained by unknown death magic. Mara understands first. Her eyes lower immediately. The explanation is convincing because it matches everything Drawl believes about him. A frightened young necromancer creates a crude emergency defense. The hidden tablets detect hollow script. They activate wildly across the academy. Accidental, primitive. Useful, but not strategic. Drawl glances toward the chamber walls. He still doubts. Yet destroying Edrin now would waste 2 centuries of research. The convocation is 3 days away. The unseen master beneath Blackthorne is likely demanding progress. Drawl chooses investment over caution, exactly as Edrin expected. You will remain in the North Isolation Tower until the ceremony, the Magister says. No visitors, no relic access. No familiar activity. Pip tilts its skull. Drawl points at the Revenant. That thing will be sealed separately. Edrin's expression finally changes, barely, a tightening near the eyes. The Magister notices, and smiles. He has found what he believes is leverage. Cooperate, Drawl says, and it survives. The Warden sees Pip. The familiar does not resist. That is more alarming than resistance would have been. As one guard carries it away, Pip turns its skull toward Edrin. The new gray point inside its chest pulses once. A choice is forming, not yet a command. But close, Edrin allows himself to be escorted from the chamber. Mara walks beside him until the first staircase. Drawl sends her toward the archive under guard. Their hidden ledger remains beneath her coat. The Magister either has not found it or wants to see who else it exposes. Both possibilities are dangerous. By midday, Blackthorne seals its gates. Officially, the Academy prepares for Founders' Convocation. Unofficially, Drawl arrests 7 labor students, 3 junior wardens, and 2 archive clerks who communicated with Edrin during the previous weeks. His influence network is being cut apart. The arrested students are moved beneath the northern tower, visible from Edrin's isolation window. Another form of leverage. Drawl wants him obedient. Cyran Voss returns to public view that afternoon. The noble student walks with a cane, but his mana has begun recovering. House Voss healers restore his golden fire channels, and his father arrives at Blackthorne with 40 armed retainers. Lord Garrick Voss does not care about the hidden corpses. He cares that his son lost to a labor porter. By evening, the Voss family demands Edrin's execution after the convocation. Drawl publicly agrees to review the request. Privately, he needs Edrin alive. The conflict should weaken the Magister's position. Instead, Drawl uses it. He promises House Voss that Edrin will power a new undead defense network under noble control. He promises the faculty that the network will protect the Academy. He promises the Royal Observers a demonstration capable of changing warfare across the continent. Every faction wants something different. Drawl convinces each one that the Hollow Throne will provide it. By the second night, Blackthorne becomes a fortress. 400 Academy guards patrol the walls. 30 elite wardens occupy the burial corridors. House Voss soldiers control the outer gates. 6 royal inspectors arrive under heavy escort. The central plaza is rebuilt into a ceremonial platform large enough to hold 3,000 spectators. At its center stands a black crystal throne. Drawl is no longer hiding. He has turned the ritual into a public triumph before it even succeeds. That is the height of his arrogance. It is also the deepest point of his investment. Too many witnesses, too many promises. Too many powerful people expecting results. Even if he senses danger now, retreat becomes impossible. Edrin spends the final night inside the isolation tower. No tablets, no corpse access, no Pip. Only suppression walls and a narrow window overlooking the plaza. He sits on the floor and reviews the network from memory. 62 tablets are now in Drawl's possession. Most people would consider that a complete loss. Edrin considers location more important than possession. Drawl stores the tablets inside the central archive for analysis. The archive connects directly to the convocation platform. Every tablet still carries Edrin's original activation condition. Listen for the hollow script. Drawl can examine them, move them, attempt to dismantle them. The dead commands remain linked to their maker, not through mana. Through the final instruction, Edrin carved into every storage medium. When unknown sovereign authority attempts to overwrite the holder, break. A simple contingency. A primitive emergency defense. Exactly what he told Drawl. The Magister heard the truth. He simply did not understand the scale. Near midnight, footsteps stop outside Edrin's cell. The door does not open. A soft scratching comes from inside the wall. Edrin looks toward the sound. One stone shifts. A tiny black beak pushes through the gap. Not Pip. A dead mouse crawls into the room carrying one of Mara's paper ledger strips between its teeth. The creature contains no stable core, no crafted body, only a single movement epitaph keeping it active for a few seconds. Someone else has raised it. Edrin takes the strip. 3 words are written across it. Pip chose protect. The mouse collapses. Its command expires. A tiny gray pattern rises from the body and drifts toward Edrin's hand. Before he can touch it, the dead instruction turns away. It flies through the wall, toward Pip. The familiar has begun summoning epitaphs without him. Below the academy, the dragon shifts. Inside the convocation plaza, the Black Throne develops one hairline crack. No alarm sounds. No guard notices. But Edrin rises to his feet. The entire machine is ready. The Black Throne begins screaming before Edrin even sits down. No sound reaches the spectators. The scream travels through dead magic instead, ripping across every hollow script mark beneath Blackthorne Academy like a blade dragged over bone. 3,000 people fill the rebuilt central plaza. Students occupy the lower terraces. Noble patrons sit beneath enchanted canopies. Royal inspectors watch from a raised silver gallery. Faculty members surround the ceremonial platform in formal robes, each one wearing the expression of someone determined to call a disaster historic progress. At the center stands Edrin Vale. His wrists are bound with white chains. His coat has been replaced by a plain execution tunic. And behind him, the black crystal throne waits beneath the shadow of Blackthorne's central tower. Magister Corvindral raises both arms. Today, this academy restores the defense created by its founders. Applause rolls across the plaza. Most spectators believe Edrin is a volunteer conduit. A few know he is a prisoner. Only Mara understands that the young man walking toward the throne has already turned the ceremony into a weapon. She stands beside the archive platform with 3 contract seals wrapped around her arms. 2 wardens watch her. Lord Garrick Voss watches everyone. Cyran sits beside his father, his fire channels still supported by golden braces. The noble student's gaze never leaves Edrin. There is no mockery in it now, only suspicion. Drawl gestures toward the ceremonial banners. Blackthorne's greatest weakness has always been dependence on living mages. Today, that weakness ends. Beneath the plaza, 30 founder corpses open their eyes. Farther down, hundreds of lesser dead creatures stir inside sealed chambers. And beneath all of them, the dragon remembers Edrin's voice. The young necromancer reaches the throne. Pip is nowhere in sight. That is exactly where the familiar needs to be. Drawl places one hand against Edrin's back. Sit. Edrin obeys. Cold crystal closes around his spine. The black throne reshapes itself, growing narrow branches that wrap around his arms, ribs, and neck. Needles pierce the vacant channels inside his body. The audience sees silver light. Edrin feels chains. A system message burns behind his eyes. Artificial sovereign installation initiated. External authority attempting permanent occupation. Then the hollow script enters him. The first layer maps his nerves. The second reaches for his memories. The third attempts to connect his empty core with the black crystal beneath the dragon. Pain erases the plaza for 1 savage second. Drawl leans close. Do not resist. The Magister is afraid resistance will damage the ritual. He still believes cooperation exists. Edrin's fingers close around the throne's armrests. He allows the connection to deepen. 1 channel. 3. 7. Then all 13 burial corridors open inside his perception. Every corpse becomes a point of pressure. Every preserved command becomes a word. Every hollow script tablet becomes a piece of a sentence written beneath the academy over 2 centuries. The scale is insane. Blackthorne contains more than 6,000 usable epitaphs. Edrin has handled 62 at once. This network could tear his mind apart before he completes a single command. Drawl watches the ritual gauge climb. 10%, 20, 30. The Magister's confidence returns with every glowing mark. Lord Garrick rises from his seat. When does the demonstration begin? Drawl bows slightly. At full synchronization, the Voss Lord looks toward Edrin as though inspecting a siege engine. And afterward, the vessel remains beneath Academy control. Cyran hears the answer. His expression shifts. Edrin notices. The noble student finally understands that Blackthorne never intended to educate or even imprison the talentless porter. They intend to turn him into infrastructure. 40%. The throne's branches tighten. Blood runs down Edrin's arms. Mara takes 1 step toward the platform. A warden grabs her shoulder. Stay in position. She looks toward the archive crystals. Not yet. The copied hearing record is still missing 1 connection. Pip must reach the main conduit. 50%. The presence beneath the dragon awakens. A white mask appears inside Edrin's mind. Chains of writing hang from its shoulders. Empty symbols move across its body, forming commands without language. The thing reaches toward his vacant core. It is not dead. But it is not alive in any normal sense either. It exists as continuous magical instruction. A command that has forgotten its original caster, the Hollow Regent. The name enters Edrin's thoughts from the system itself. Blackthorne's founders did not invent the hollow script. They copied fragments from this entity. Every experiment, every empty child, every corpse beneath the academy, all of it serves one purpose. The regent needs a living vacancy large enough to leave the dragon's crystal prison. Edrin is not being crowned. He is being hollowed out. The timeline changes again. He expected Drawl to use him as a permanent control interface. That assumption is wrong. Once synchronization completes, the regent will overwrite him and walk free. Edrin recalibrates instantly. Destroying Drawl's control is no longer enough. The central transfer must be interrupted before completion, but only after the entire network recognizes Edrin as sovereign. Too early, and the founder corpses revert to the regent. Too late, and there will be nothing left of Edrin to issue commands. 60%. The young necromancer stops pretending to resist. He opens the vacant core completely. The synchronization gauge surges. 70, 80. Drawl's eyes widen. That is impossible. Lord Garrett grips the railing. Faculty members rise across the plaza. Every ceremonial rune ignites at once. The throne has never accepted a vessel this quickly. The Magister looks delighted. Then frightened. Edrin feels the regent's hand enter his chest. Now. He activates the instruction carved into every storage tablet. When unknown sovereign authority attempts to overwrite the holder, break. Inside the central archive, 62 black tablets crack simultaneously. The sound resembles a stack of dry bones snapping beneath a hammer. Drawl turns toward the archive tower. What was that? The first tablet releases an illumination epitaph. The second releases containment. The third releases message copying. Then all 62 dead commands burst into the Academy network together. Gray light races through the plaza floor. Drawl reaches for his control tablet. It fractures in his hand. The Magister stares at the pieces. Edrin turns his head against the crystal restraints. The storage was never unstable. Drawl looks at him. The realization lands slowly, then all at once. The crude tablets, the accidental activation, the frightened explanation inside the founder chamber. Every detail Drawl accepted because it confirmed his own superiority. You linked them, he whispers. Edrin's voice remains quiet. You collected them. The Magister's face drains of color. That single sentence connects the trap from beginning to end. Drawl seized every tablet, stored them together, carried them into the archive network, and placed them directly beside the convocation conduit. Edrin built the fuse. Drawl assembled the bomb. The first wave hits the record crystals. Every blue lens across the plaza turns gray. The ceremony feed disappears. Then another image replaces it. Cyran stands inside the disciplinary chamber. His recorded voice pours across the academy. The gate was sealed to prevent contamination from spreading upward. The copied hearing testimony from Part 2 plays above the plaza, in enormous spectral letters. Students look toward the labor terraces. Survivors from the Dragon Tunnel stand there under guard. One of them shouts, "He left us to die!" The crowd erupts. Drawl slams his staff against the platform. Terminate the archive projection. The command enters the network. The message, copying epitaph, catches it. Instead of stopping the record, every ceremonial banner begins replaying it. The official confession spreads across windows, shields, observation mirrors, and faculty lenses. Mara closes her eyes briefly. Pip has reached the conduit. The familiar crawls from behind the archive mechanism with its body glowing from within. The copied testimony shard no longer rotates inside its chest. In its place grows a compact gray core marked with one word, protect. The self-chosen command is incomplete, but active. Pip has decided what every borrowed function exists to serve. Its blade wing tracks threats. Its shield wing answers danger. Its authority recognition selects hostile commands. And the new core binds them together without waiting for Edrin's direct control. The Revenant spreads both wings. Every contract seal around Mara's arms is identified as hostile authority. Pip launches. One strike cuts the first seal. A turn of its shield wing shatters the second. The third attempts to tighten around her throat. Pip folds its entire body around the spell. The command crushes the familiar instead. Brass ribs bend. Crystal plates crack. The gray core burns brighter. Protect. The borrowed preservation pattern activates. Pip holds together. Mara tears the final seal from her arm and drives a stolen archive key into the control desk. The hidden ledger appears across the record crystals. Names fill the air. Talentless children admitted to Blackthorne. Transfer dates, experimental chamber numbers, official causes of death. 200 years of victims. Silence swallows the plaza. Even Lord Garrick stops shouting. The royal inspectors begin recording everything with independent devices. Drawl sees them. Panic takes him. Shut down the throne. 3 engineers rush toward the platform. The black crystal rejects them. The Hollow Regent has already entered the transfer phase. The synchronization gauge reaches 90%. Drawl grabs Edrin by the shoulder. Stabilize it. The Magister does not understand the request he is making. He is begging the prisoner he trapped to save the ritual that will destroy him. Edrin looks at the hand gripping his shoulder. You wanted a sovereign. This is not the time. Then stop giving orders. Drawl's staff ignites. White destruction gathers along the crystal. The Magister intends to force compliance. Before he can strike, the plaza splits open. 30 founder corpses rise from beneath the ceremonial platform. Students scream. Noble guards draw weapons. House Voss soldiers form a golden wall around Lord Garrick and Cyran. Drawl lifts his broken control tablet. Defend the Academy! The corpses ignore him. The network now recognizes two sovereign authorities. The Hollow Regent inside the throne, and Edrin inside the vacant core. The conflict freezes every founder in place. This is the second stage. Read the enemy. Edrin lets the competing commands pass through him. The Regent controls through origin. Its authority sits deeper because every hollow script pattern derives from it. Edrin controls through completion. Dead spells answer him when their original power ends. As long as the Regent remains active, its commands are living instructions, untouchable. So the young Necromancer needs to make the central command die, not destroy the entity, kill the sentence holding it together. The Hollow Regent reaches deeper into his memory. Images vanish, the ash tunnels, the cell, the duel, Pip's first broken wing. Pieces of Edrin's identity begin turning white. He has seconds. Drawl sees his face change. What is happening? The throne is not yours. The Magister looks toward the black crystal beneath the transparent platform. The white mask appears inside it. Drawl staggers backward. For all his research, he has never seen the Master clearly. No, he whispers. The Regent speaks through every corpse at once. Vessel accepted. The voice shakes windows across Blackthorne. Drawl's terror becomes complete. He points at Edrin. Remove him! Break the connection. Faculty mages attack the throne. Fire, wind, lightning, and sanctified light crash into the crystal branches. The throne absorbs everything. Each spell strengthens the transfer. Edrin nearly laughs. Powerful mages remain remarkably committed to solving magical problems with more magic. The third stage begins. Kai Ha. Edrin opens the 7 epitaph slots inside his core. Tracking, containment, purge, message copying, authority recognition, structural reinforcement, golden spear foundation. Then he calls the 62 released patterns moving through the Academy. Epitaph convergence expands beyond his body. 3 commands nearly ruptured him in the arena. Now, 69 dead instructions assemble around one target, not the Regent, its active central sentence. The throne is a command machine. Every branch repeats the same function. Transfer sovereign authority into the vessel. Edrin marks that instruction. Heat pursuit becomes intent pursuit. It follows every repetition of the transfer command through the network. Containment closes around those copies, separating them from every other hollow script function. Message copying duplicates the captured sentence until the command overloads its own channels. Structural reinforcement prevents the network from escaping by collapsing early. Authority recognition ensures the attack ignores every command belonging to Edrin, Pip, or the awakened founders. Then the Purge Epitaph enters the center. Erase hostile sovereign transfer. The convergence ignites. Gray light erupts from the throne. Every branch binding Edrin turns transparent. The Regent pulls back. Too late. The dead tracking command follows it through all 13 burial corridors. One transfer line dies. Then 10, then 100. The Regent screams without sound. The black crystal beneath the dragon fractures. Drawl stares at Edrin as the entire ritual reverses. This cannot be happening. Edrin grips the armrests. It already happened. The final purge wave detonates. The throne explodes around him. Crystal shards freeze in midair as containment catches them. The dead transfer command collapses. Every hollow script mark across Blackthorne loses its active source in the same instant, and Edrin inherits the remains. 6,000 epitaphs flood toward the vacant core. Far too many. His body begins breaking immediately. Gray fractures spread across his chest. Blood fills his mouth. The young Necromancer changes the convergence target. Do not store. Distribute. The founder corpses receive their own commands back. The buried war beasts reclaim their movement patterns. Defensive wards absorb their dead barriers. And Pip, still wrapped around Mara's broken contract, receives every protection instruction the network can carry. The little revenant rises. Its bent brass bones straighten. Crystal plates multiply across both wings. A ring of pale script forms behind its skull. Incomplete but unmistakable. Not full evolution. Almost. The companion now commands a moving field of defense around itself. Arrows fired by panicked guards curve away from Mara. Falling debris stops inches above students. Hostile seals crack whenever Pip passes them. Protect is no longer a single instruction. It has become authority. The fourth stage crashes across Blackthorne. The founder corpses do not attack the crowd. They turn toward the hidden control stations and tear them from the ground. Buried drakes break through sealed chambers, then lower their heads when Edrin redirects their recovered commands. Academy wards change allegiance. Every door trapping a labor student opens. Every gate holding a prisoner unlocks. Every private archive drawl sealed becomes visible to the royal inspectors. Power changes hands without a single army marching through the gates. The Hollow Regent retreats into the dragon's deepest crystal fragment, wounded, not destroyed. The presence tears one final channel open beneath the western tower and disappears into the lowest burial level. Edrin feels it leave. That threat remains for Part 7. But the machine above it is gone. The crystal restraints around him crumble. Our Necromancer rises from the shattered throne. He can barely stand. The entire plaza watches. No one calls him talentless now. Drawl backs away. His ceremonial robes are torn. His control tablets are dust. Founder corpses surround the platform, all facing him. The Magister looks toward Edrin with raw desperation. You must stop them. He still believes the young man should solve the consequences of his failed ritual. Edrin looks past him toward the open prisons, the projected victim ledger, and Mara standing beneath Pip's expanding shield. Then he gives the 30 founders one command. Remember, every burial mask turns toward Drawl. And beneath the academy, Sir Orsic begins climbing back toward the light. Sir Orsic tears through the ceremonial platform from below. Black stone erupts across the plaza. The dead knight rises between Edrin and Magister Drawl, dragging broken hollow script chains behind him like the remains of an execution scaffold. Every burial mask turns. Every founder corpse recognizes him. And Drawl finally understands that the man climbing toward him is not another weapon. He is evidence with a sword arm. Sir Orsic's helmet remains split down the center. No eyes burn inside it. No living soul directs the armor. Yet one command survives beneath centuries of damage. Identify the traitor. The corpse raises one gauntlet. It points directly at Drawl. The plaza erupts. Royal inspectors order their guards forward. Faculty members demand explanations. House Voss soldiers tighten formation around Lord Garrick and Cyran, uncertain whether to defend the academy or arrest its commander. Drawl backs away from the dead knight. This construct is corrupted. Sir Orsic takes another step. The Magister lifts his staff. It does not remember what happened. The ancient corpse draws a broken blade from inside its own chest. Apparently, it remembers enough. Edrin stands amid the remains of the Black Throne, barely holding his body together. Gray fractures cover his arms. 6,000 dead commands scrape against the edge of his vacant core, even after he redistributes most of them across Blackthorne. Every breath hurts. Every movement threatens to open another crack. Pip circles above Mara with a shield of pale scripture rotating around its fragile body. The familiar protects 6 nearby students from falling debris, but its reconstructed wings tremble under the pressure. No one on the plaza is ready for another battle. That includes Drawl. Unfortunately, the Hollow Regent is. The Magister looks toward the western tower. A line of black writing crawls from beneath the plaza and wraps around his ankle. Drawl freezes. Edrin sees the command immediately. Return to the source. The Regent is calling its servant back. Drawl tears at the script with white fire. The command climbs higher. It wraps around his legs, ribs, and throat. No. The Magister's panic becomes animal. He strikes the script again. His spell dies on contact. The Regent pulls. Drawl is dragged across the shattered platform toward the hole Sir Orsic created. His staff scrapes against stone. His fingers claw uselessly at the ceremonial floor. The man who spent years feeding children into Blackthorne's underground machine begins begging the machine not to take him. Vale. Edrin watches him. Stop it. The Necromancer does not move. You control the network. Drawl reaches toward him. I made you. That is the wrong thing to say. The emotion inside Edrin finally takes shape. It is not rage in the way Cyran understands rage. There is no shouting, no wild surge of power, no loss of control. It is colder, cleaner. He thinks of the names projected across the plaza. Empty children, dead core, no future. The academy used those words until they sounded like medical facts. Then it built graves beneath the classrooms and called every murder a failed experiment. Edrin does not hate magic. He hates the people who decided an empty core meant an empty life. The young man meets Drawl's eyes. You found me. The hollow script tightens around the Magister's neck. You never made anything. Drawl disappears into the hole. The darkness closes over him. Then the entire academy moves. The central tower tilts. Burial gates slam open beneath every courtyard. Gray light erupts from windows. Founder corpses stagger as their recovered commands are ripped from them by force. The Hollow Regent is reclaiming the network. Not gradually, desperately. Sir Orsic turns toward the western tower. His broken sword lowers. One command passes from the corpse to Edrin through the fragment inside Pip's chest, source exposed. A black pillar erupts through the tower roof. At its center hangs Drawl. The Magister floats above the academy with hollow script carved across his skin. His staff has fused with one arm. White fire leaks from his mouth and eyes. The smooth mask of the Regent forms over his face. When he speaks, two voices overlap. Vessel rejected. Drawl's body twists. Bones lengthen. Crystal branches emerge from his spine. Substitute accepted. The Regent never needed Drawl to survive. It merely needs flesh long enough to reach Edrin. The possessed Magister raises one hand. Every active spell across Blackthorne stops obeying its caster. Fireballs turn in the air. Defensive shields close around the wrong people. Levitation platforms flip upside down. The Academy's entire magical environment becomes hostile at once. This is the opening assault, and it is absolutely brutal. A storm of stolen spells crashes into the plaza. Edrin throws up a dead containment barrier. It shatters instantly. The next wave strikes him directly. Lightning tears across his chest. Wind blades cut through his side. A gravity spell drives him into the broken throne platform hard enough to crater the crystal beneath him. Founder corpses rush forward. The Regent speaks one command, unwrite. 13 of them collapse. Their preserved instructions disappear before Edrin can inherit anything. That is new. The Hollow Regent does not kill dead magic. It removes the command from existence. Sir Orsic charges through the spellstorm. The Ancient Knight reaches the western tower and drives his broken sword into Drawl's transformed body. The blade penetrates. No blood appears. Black writing floods down the weapon and enters Sir Orsic's armor. The Regent seizes control. The knight turns. His sword tears through 3 founder corpses in one sweep. Edrin forces himself upright. His first defense is already gone. Half the founder army is disabled. The Regent controls the surviving academy wards. And Sir Orsic, the only corpse capable of identifying the true source, now belongs to the enemy. Honestly, the situation is impressively terrible. Pip dives toward Edrin. A stolen lightning spear changes direction and follows the familiar. Its tracking structure resembles Cyran's golden spell. Pip's authority core identifies the threat, protect. The Revenant folds its shield wing around Edrin's head. Lightning strikes. Pip's body explodes into brass fragments. The pale scripture ring behind its skull cracks apart. Mara screams the familiar's name. Nothing answers. Tiny bones rain across the shattered platform. The Regent descends from the tower. Drawl's stretched feet touch the air as though standing on invisible steps. Crystal branches spread behind him like a grotesque crown. In complete sovereign, Edrin looks at the fragments around him. Pip's gray core still burns among them, weak, exposed. Alive, the Regent raises Drawl's fused staff. Return the vacancy. Black commands strike Edrin from every direction. One orders his arms to stop moving. Another silences his class. A third tries to separate memory from identity. The Necromancer absorbs none of them. They are active. They belong to the Regent. All he can do is endure. His right arm locks. His vision fades at the edges. The vacant core begins opening against his will. This is the first stage. He receives the full weight of the enemy. No hidden defense remains. No stored tablet is coming to save him. The Regent commands more raw power, more corpses, and more active magic than Edrin could gather in a lifetime. So our hero stops measuring power. He studies behavior. Every time the Regent issues a command, the black script moves through 3 locations. The mask, Drawl's fused staff, the crystal fragment embedded near the dragon's heart. The command begins beneath the academy, passes through Drawl, and leaves through the mask. Origin, conduit. Expression, destroying Drawl will only remove the conduit. The Regent can choose another. Attacking the crystal will fail because the source remains protected by the dragon's bones. The mask is different. It does not generate commands. It completes them. The Regent is a continuous instruction, but every individual order still needs a final shape before reality can obey it. A sentence without an ending remains intention. The mask provides that ending. Edrin watches Sir Orsic. The possessed knight attacks only after the Regent's mask flashes. The Academy wards reverse only when a symbol closes across its white surface. The unwrite command completes when the mask's mouth forms a straight black line. There. The weakness is not a heart. It is punctuation. The Regent prepares another command. Edrin looks toward Mara. Break every record crystal. She does not understand. She acts anyway. Mara grabs a fallen warden hammer and smashes the nearest archive lens. 2 labor students join her. Then a junior warden destroys another. Across the plaza, people begin breaking the devices Drawl used to record the ceremony. 1 crystal. 4. 12. Each observation spell dies. Perception epitaphs rise into the air. Edrin calls them. The dead patterns enter the remains of Pip's authority core. Dozens of viewpoints awaken at once. The familiar still has no body. It does not need one yet. Through the floating core, Edrin sees the Regent's mask from every angle. He sees every symbol forming, every closure, every final mark. The second stage is complete. The enemy has been read. Now the Necromancer needs a container strong enough to survive the counterattack. The Regent points toward the students. Empty all vessels. Mana begins ripping from 600 young mages. Students collapse across the terraces. Cyran grabs the railing as golden fire pours out of his restored channels. Lord Garrick's guards lose their enhancement spells. Faculty members fall as decades of accumulated magic are dragged toward Draal's body. The Regent intends to build a larger vessel from the entire academy. Pip's broken core pulses. Protect. The command is no longer directed only toward Edrin. It reaches Mara, the labor students, the scholarship mages, even Cyran, everyone under Blackthorne's towers. The familiar makes its choice again. This time, the choice becomes absolute. Every defensive epitaph Edrin distributed during the throne's collapse answers. Broken barriers, dead preservation charms, collapsed containment fields, spent healing wards, shattered shields. Thousands of discarded protection commands fly toward Pip's core. They do not enter Edrin. They choose the companion. A gigantic skeleton unfolds above the plaza. Not a bird. Not entirely. The long skull of the original fire raven forms at the center, now covered by a smooth helm of black crystal. 6 wings spread behind it, each one built from overlapping barrier fragments and silver founder scripture. A ring of complete epitaphs rotates around its body. Brass claws become armored hands. The lower form remains feathered shadow, while the upper structure resembles a knight assembled from every shield Blackthorne ever allowed to die. The system finally names the evolved vessel, Pip, Warden of the Last Shelter, independent sovereign companion. Self-command established. Protect those his master refuses to abandon. Pip opens all 6 wings. The mana-draining command stops. A massive gray dome covers the academy. Every student trapped beneath it feels their magic return. The Regent looks up. For the first time, the white mask develops an expression. A crack. Pip closes one armored hand. Sir Orsic freezes. The companion's authority does not overpower the Regent directly. It identifies the knight as someone Edrin is protecting from hostile control. The black script inside Sir Orsic is forced outward. The dead knight tears Draal's command from his own chest. Then he turns his broken sword toward the Regent. Companion evolution is complete. The third stage begins. Edrin ignites epitaph convergence at full scale. Not 3 commands, not 69. Every dead protective, tracking, copying, containment, and purging instruction currently recognized by Pip's authority enters one structure. The 6 wings become the boundary. Pip contains the convergence, so Edrin's body does not rupture immediately. Perception epitaphs observe the mask. Tracking commands follow every symbol. Message copying patterns duplicate the Regent's final marks. Containment separates those marks from the commands behind them. Structural reinforcement prevents the mask from changing shape. Golden Spear Foundation provides acceleration. And Purge waits at the center. The Regent reacts instantly. Unwrite the bird. The mask begins closing the command. Pip dives. Its 6 wings fold around Edrin and Sir Orsic. The unwrite order strikes the outer barrier. 1 wing disappears. Then a second. The companion keeps moving. 4 wings remain. The Regent issues another command. Break the Sovereign. Gray fractures explode across Edrin's body. His vacant core splits. Pain becomes white noise. Our Necromancer almost loses the convergence. Pip reaches down with one armored hand and closes it around his wrist. Protect, not obedience. Not programming, a choice. Edrin tightens his grip. The emotion he has hidden since the ash tunnels finally becomes visible through action. He will not use Pip as a disposable shield. He redirects half the damage into himself and leaves the companion enough structure to finish the attack. Gray cracks reach his throat. Blood covers his teeth. Still, he looks at the Regent. You kept calling them empty. The names of Blackthorne's dead children fill the sky behind him. Pip's archive authority projects every stolen record above the battlefield. They were never the hollow ones. The convergence locks onto the mask. Every copied ending activates at once. The Regent's commands complete in the wrong order. Unwrite becomes unwrite, the hostile authority. Break becomes break, the hollow script. Return becomes return stolen commands to their dead owners. The entity tries to reshape the mask. Containment prevents it. Sir Orsic moves. The dead knight throws his broken sword. Golden acceleration catches the weapon. Pip redirects it through the final opening in the Regent's defense. The blade strikes the center of the white mask. One crack becomes hundreds. Edrin releases Purge. The mask shatters. Every active command loses its ending. The Regent's control collapses. Drawl falls from the air. Crystal branches tear free from his body. The fused staff splits. Black writing pours from his mouth as the entity retreats toward the dragon's heart. Our hero does not let it escape. Tracking follows. Containment closes. Message copying duplicates the unfinished central instruction. The Hollow Regent becomes finite for the first time in centuries. One command trapped inside a completed boundary. A dead spell waiting to happen. Edrin closes both hands. End. The Hollow Regent expires. The Final Epitaph burns across the entire academy. Original function unknown. Authority level immeasurable. Compatible vessel required. Edrin refuses to store it inside himself. Instead, he drives the dead command into the dragon's missing soul chamber. The ancient skeleton convulses beneath Blackthorne. Tower foundations rise. Burial halls split open. Then the dragon's empty eye ignites with calm gray fire. Not resurrection, not possession, a sealed inheritance. The Hollow Regent is no longer the master of the dragon's network. It becomes its final command. Sleep until the rightful sovereign calls. The fourth stage settles over the battlefield. Every hostile ward goes dark. Founder corpses reclaim their identities. Sir Orsic catches his broken sword as it falls and plants it beside Draal's body. The Magister survives. Barely. His magic is gone. Hollow script scars cover every inch of his skin, preserving a visible record of the commands he used on others. Pip lands beside Edrin. The evolved companion's enormous form contracts, folding 6 wings into a raven-sized armored body. A complete silver ring remains behind its skull. It looks at the shattered plaza, then at Edrin. One metal claw taps the ground. Once. The same tiny gesture from the ossuary cage. Our Necromancer reaches down and lets Pip climb onto his wrist. No throne remains, no control crystal, no hidden master beneath the academy. Only Edrin standing before 3,000 witnesses while the dead founders line up behind him. Cyran Voss rises from the noble gallery. His restored fire has vanished again, but he walks into the plaza without support. The former highest-ranked first year looks at Sir Orsic, the dragon's gray eye beneath the fractured ground, and Pip's sovereign ring. Then he looks at the boy Blackthorne, classified as having no future. Cyran lowers his head, not deeply, not gracefully. Still, he does it. Across the ruined academy, every remaining student follows his gaze. Edrin Vale has finally shown them everything, and beneath his feet, a god-level necromantic network waits for its first real command. Blackthorne Academy survives, which is honestly more than the building deserves. 3 towers lean at impossible angles. Half the central plaza has collapsed into the ossuary. Founder corpses stand among shattered statues, while a dead dragon watches daylight through a crack beneath the school. Not exactly the image the academy planned for Founder's convocation. Still, the students are alive. That matters more. Pip remains perched on Edrin's wrist as healers approach from every direction. The Revenant has returned to its smaller raven form, but 6 folded lines of silver script remain visible along its back. Its completed authority core pulses once. Protect. The healers stop several paces away. None of them knows whether touching Edrin will provoke the sovereign familiar. Mara walks through the group and ignores their concern entirely. She grips our hero by the uninjured shoulder. You are bleeding through the execution tunic. Edrin looks down. She is correct. Gray cracks still run across his chest, and the vacant core remains dangerously unstable after holding the full epitaph convergence. If another major command enters him now, his body will probably split apart. Naturally, this is when every important person in Blackthorne wants an answer. The royal inspectors surround the ruined platform. Lord Garrick Voss demands custody of Drawl. The faculty demands control of the founder corpses. The wardens demand orders. And several thousand students simply stare at Edrin as though he might command the academy to stand on one leg. He does not. Our Necromancer lifts his hand toward the founders. Return what belongs to you. The distributed epitaphs leave Blackthorne's wards. Movement commands return to ancient limbs. Memory fragments settle behind burial masks. Weapons lower. One by one, the founders regain enough of themselves to understand where they are. Some look toward the broken academy crest. Others stare at the names of dead children still projected across the sky. Sir Orsic stands beside Draal's unconscious body. The ancient knight removes his helmet. There is no preserved face beneath it, only a hollow interior filled with silver writing. His final memories appear inside the empty armor like reflections on dark glass. 2 centuries ago, Sir Orsic discovers the Hollow Regent inside the dragon's heart. He orders Blackthorne's first council to seal the entity permanently. The other founders refuse. They see military power. Immortal Guardians, a method to command dead magic without paying the cost of living spells. When Orsic tries to expose them, they execute him beneath the academy and rewrite the historical record. The kneeling founders watch their own preserved memories. Some participated willingly, some were deceived. Every one of them benefited. Edrin studies them without sympathy. The Lanelea become innocent, merely because time has made their crimes inconvenient. He points toward the open coffins. Choose. The command is not domination, it is permission. The founders can return to rest and surrender their remaining magic. Or they can remain awake until the royal inquiry finishes. 23 corpses walk back toward the burial hall. 7 remain beside Sir Orsic. Those 7 carry memories connected to the experiments. They will serve as witnesses. Drawl begins moving. The Magister opens his eyes and immediately reaches for mana. Nothing answers. The Hollow Regent has stripped his channels completely. White fire, once capable of erasing royal undead, now leaves only weak sparks along his fused arm. He sees Sir Orsic, then Edrin, then the royal inspectors. His face twists. You cannot trust the corpses. One inspector looks toward the projected archive records. We also have your signatures. Drawl turns toward Mara. You stole restricted material. She removes the remaining contract band from her wrist and throws it at his feet. You made me catalog children after they died. The Magister tries to stand. Sir Orsic places one metal hand on his shoulder and forces him back onto the stone. Drawl looks toward Edrin again. You need me. Our Necromancer almost admires the confidence. Almost. The network is damaged, Drawl continues. You have no formal training. You do not understand the dragon, the founder channels, or the Regent's original structure. All true. Edrin still has gaps. The dragon's soul is missing. Several burial corridors remain unexplored. And the final epitaph sealed inside the ancient skeleton carries authority far beyond his current capacity. But ignorance is not the same thing as dependence. Our guy turns toward the royal gallery. Keep him alive. Drawl's breathing steadies. He mistakes survival for mercy. Then Edrin finishes. Every experiment carries his authority signature. The investigators will need him conscious when they open the sealed chambers. The Magister's relief disappears. Blackthorne's victims were treated as numbered vessels. Drawl will now identify every one of them by name, location, and command record. No quick execution, no convenient disappearance. He will spend the remainder of his useful life dismantling the system he helped build while royal oath seals prevent him from hiding a single detail. Sir Orsic lifts Drawl by the collar. The former Magister looks toward the ancient knight's empty helmet. You were a traitor. Orsic's silver writing changes. A preserved sentence appears across his chest. You called obedience loyalty. Drawl has no answer. The royal guards take him away. Lord Garrick Voss tries to follow. 2 inspectors block his path. The Voss Lord's expression becomes dangerously calm. My family funded this academy for generations. That, Mara says, is why they want your records too. Garrick looks toward her with pure contempt. Cyran steps between them. The noble student still wears the golden braces supporting his damaged channels, but his voice is steady. House Voss knew workers sent to the northern quarry were Blackthorne transfers. His father turns. Be silent. Cyran does not. He looks toward the surviving ash porters, then toward Edrin. The quarry contracts list them as debt prisoners. The family office removed their academy status before transport. Lord Garrick's face hardens. You would disgrace your own blood for him? Cyran glances at the crater where his fire failed, the corpse that nearly killed him, and the dragon beneath the academy. No. His gaze returns to his father. You managed that without help. The royal inspectors seize Garrick's ledgers before sunset. House Voss retains its lands for now, but loses authority over the northern quarry. Every transferred worker is released. Compensation is drawn directly from the family's military accounts. Cyran does not ask Edrin for forgiveness. That would be easy. Instead, he walks into the labor dormitory and gives the survivors a complete account of the sealed gate. No excuses. No claim that orders forced his hand. He says he chose the upper academy over the workers below it. Then he accepts their answer. One porter strikes him. Another refuses to speak. A third demands his testimony before the royal commission. Cyran agrees to all 3. Recognition is not redemption, but it is the first honest thing he has done. Blackthorne closes for 11 days. During that time, the academy undergoes a transformation more savage than any duel. Royal investigators open every hidden archive. Labor classifications are abolished. The Ash Wardens are dissolved after 27 officers are tied to the hollow script experiments. The remaining wardens are reorganized under independent oversight, with Mara controlling the records and Sir Orsic verifying historical seals. A scholarship clerk now holds authority over professors who once refused to learn her name. The The situation suits her perfectly. Pip spends most of those 11 days following her, not because Edrin orders it. The warden of the last shelter has apparently decided that archive work is extremely dangerous. Mara climbs a ladder. Pip creates a barrier beneath it. She opens a suspicious drawer. The familiar cuts the lock before her fingers reach it. She carries too many books. 6 spectral wings appear and take half the stack. By the 3rd day, Mara stops arguing. By the 5th, she gives Pip an official archive badge. The Revenant steals it, then wears it around its neck. Edrin recovers beneath the Western Library. The Academy's healers cannot repair his vacant core with ordinary restoration magic. Living spells reject the dead channels now running through his body. So our hero uses his own mechanism. Spent healing wards leave epitaphs. Dead reinforcement charms leave structural commands. He combines them carefully, rebuilding one damaged section at a time. The process is slow. A god-level path still has to pass through a 17-year-old body. Honestly, unlimited potential becomes slightly less impressive when standing up hurts. Pip assists by filtering unstable commands. The companion's authority now distinguishes protection from control. Any restorative epitaph carrying a hidden obedience clause gets crushed before it reaches Edrin. 3 founder healing techniques fail that test. Blackthorne's history remains embarrassingly consistent. On the 12th morning, the Academy calls every remaining student into the restored eastern courtyard. No ranking crystal stands at the center. The old one was connected to the hollow throne, so Edrin personally dismantles it. Instead, 7 independent evaluators sit behind a plain wooden table. One tests elemental output. Another measures combat performance. A third assesses relic compatibility. The final 4 evaluate skills the former system ignored entirely. Strategy, command resistance, construct design, crisis response. Edrin waits at the edge of the courtyard wearing a new black and gray uniform. There is no labor crest on it. There is no standard student rank either. Blackthorne's classification system has nowhere to place him. Again, this time, that is the Academy's problem. The acting headmaster reads the royal decree. Happens, Edrin Vale is recognized as the first practitioner of epitaph necromancy. The courtyard remains silent. His combat classification exceeds the Academy scale. That creates the expected reaction. Whispers spread through every row. The boy who could not produce apprentice mana now exceeds a scale built to humiliate him. The headmaster continues. His legal status is provisional sovereign custodian of the Blackthorne ossuary. That title matters more. The dead beneath the Academy do not belong to Blackthorne anymore. Edrin controls access. No professor can activate a corpse. No noble family can remove a relic. No experiment involving empty cores can begin without his authority. Our Necromancer receives the exact position the Academy denied him from the beginning. Not merely student, not merely mage. The person who decides how Blackthorne handles death magic. The headmaster holds out a silver Academy badge. Edrin takes it. The medal immediately loses its active registration spell. A pale epitaph rises. The officials panic. Our guy catches the dead pattern, turns it over once, and presses it back into the badge. The registration returns in gray. The Academy records finally accept his name. Class Necromancer of the Final Epitaph. Rank Unmeasurable. Campus designation First Ossuary Warden. Pip taps the badge with one claw. The medal changes again. Companion authorization appears beneath Edrin's title. Apparently, the sovereign familiar refuses to remain undocumented. Cyran steps into the courtyard. His golden braces are gone. His recovered mana now burns at less than half its former strength. He stops in front of Edrin. Students gather around them. This resembles the beginning of another duel. It is not. Cyran removes the first rank insignia from his uniform. Blackthorne awarded it to him before classes began, based entirely on his 9-ring fire affinity and family training. He places it on the wooden table. I challenge someone the Academy called untalented. His voice carries across the courtyard. I used a sanctioned duel to kill him. No one interrupts. He defeated me while chained. Then he saved me from the corpse buried beneath my arena. Cyran looks directly at Edrin. The first rank is his. Our hero glances at the insignia, then at the revised evaluation stations. No. Cyran's jaw tightens. Edrin points toward the students waiting to be tested. Make them earn it properly. The noble student understands. A transferred title would preserve the same broken system with a different name at the top, so Cyran enters the evaluation line. No privilege, no automatic rank. He earns second place. A scholarship student specializing in barrier mathematics takes first. The entire academy loses its mind. Blackthorne becomes unbearable in a completely new way after reopening. Students who ignored Edrin now crowd the ossuary corridor requesting lessons. Professors submit formal applications to study dead spell structures. Noble houses send offers containing money, relics, land, and several extremely transparent marriage proposals. Edrin rejects most of them unopened. He accepts funding for one project. The abandoned furnace room becomes the Department of Epitaph Studies. Mara designs the archive. Sir Orsic guards the restricted entrance. 7 founder witnesses assist under binding terms they write themselves. And Pip occupies the highest shelf, wearing its stolen badge like a medal. The first class contains 30 students. Only 6 possess strong mana. 4 are former labor workers. 3 have damaged cores. 1 cannot cast at all. Edrin places a broken illumination charm on every desk. The students wait for him to demonstrate. He does nothing. The room becomes uncomfortable. Finally, the student with no mana reaches toward the dead spell pattern first. Gray light gathers around her fingers. The charm produces one final glow. A quiet chime passes through the classroom as Blackthorne's new registry identifies an unrecognized compatibility. The student looks terrified, then hopeful. Edrin remembers standing inside the dragon tunnel with an iron shovel and absolutely no future according to everyone who mattered. He turns toward the board. Outside, living magic keeps Blackthorne's towers bright. Beneath them, the dead dragon sleeps under his command. And inside the smallest classroom in the academy, the rules change with a single pale flame. Edrin writes the first lesson across the board. Magic ending is not the same as magic disappearing. Pip taps its badge. The classroom door closes. Class begins.